Siren storms down by the shore. Pirates in the port of paradise. Hey, ruined mariners marinated, swinging one north with their heads big or sore. Viscera and gore in paradise. Pirates in the bay, taking what they may. Yarn and gold aboard, what decorates indoors. Taking home decor. Please not a word more. It's the Pirates of Paradise. Ah! Ah!
Welcome back. John's a little chilly and stuttery because it's spooky season, and also my room's a little cold. I have large windows. They definitely not great for heat efficiency.
It's true. I'm actually like, I'm chilly right now, but I'd be too warm to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I feel like we mentioned chili recently. Might have been it might have just been a good bit, but like chili's kind of like just soup where you're like, what do I have in the cupboard that's gonna go bad? What's gonna rot soon?
Oh yeah. It's like, dude, we ran out of ice. The year's 1930. We ran out of ice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
was that a phone call? Or was that
I think that was a phone call. We talked. I forget when we talked together.
It was a good bit, though. It was a good bit.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you want to hear about definitely the most noteworthy part of my day?
No, not at all. No, for sure. For sure.
Okay. So, I was at my job, right? And I worked that double today, the second half of which was outside of my availability because I care about how my job is. I was about to put on my boots so I could book it to this McDonald's so I could buy food so I wouldn't because our kitchen was super duper busy, or else I would have just bought the food that we have there because I get a discount on it. But I was like, no, I'm just gonna book it to this McDonald's because it's close-ish, and yeah. So I was putting on my boots because I don't book it in my work shoes, and this dude comes up to me and he's like, "Are you Quar?" And I'm like, "Yeah," right. And he asked me a bunch of questions. The moral of the story is that he offered me a job. Like, that's without knowing who I was at all. He said, like, I think his first question was like as to how old I was, right? And he was asking if I were like a high school or a college person, right? And I was like, I'm a college person. He's like, where do you go? And I was like, I go to this. What do you study? And I'm like, I study this thing. When you graduate, I graduate this time, right? And so he hands me his card, and the card is for Atlas Wholesale Supply Inc. Shout out to them.
What is that?
I don't know. I haven't.
Supply. I'll Google it.
Google it right now. Oh, but he's the president of this place. Like, it's his name on the card, and then under his name it just says president.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's in Scott Township. I don't know. Is that? I guess it's probably Pitt.
Yeah, it's it's close. It's a 15-minute.
Like Carnegie, which probably means like.
Oh yeah, Carnegie.
Yeah, like Carnegie ran whatever in spot, so it makes sense, I suppose. So yeah, it's like wholesale supply, like you said, but like looks like they sell like insulation and stuff. Yeah. So it's a building materials supplier. Mechanical insulation, temporary fencing, scaffold and sales. Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh no, those are just affiliated companies. So I wonder what this one does.
Store.
Yeah, like wallboard accessories.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, how did he know you? Or like, how did he know your name?
No. That's what I thought he knew me from somewhere because he
knew your name.
I was my full name. Yeah, and my name tag only says Q. I have a name tag that says Quar, and so maybe if you were just good at pronouncing things.
But like he knew your last name too, or?
Oh no. He just knew he called me by my first name. But apparently one of my coworkers, like, he'd come up to them and he was like, "Who is that?" And they were like, "Oh, that's Quar. He goes by Q." And he gives me this card and he's like, "Call me when you graduate. You seem to be very personable." And I was like, "Thank you." And then he left. And then I went to that McDonald's.
That's interesting.
Yeah, no, because my thing is just that he knew literally none of, like, he just observed me. Like, I didn't say a word to him.
Huh.
But yeah, so apparently one of my one of the traits that you can ascertain about me from a distance is like hireable question mark.
I guess that's good.
Yeah, like I'm not. I feel like it's definitely like a compliment. It's definitely a compliment, and like part of me is like, dude, like I don't have to wait till I graduate. Can I just like send you my portfolio? Can you give me a real boy job? I don't even know if I could get to where this place is, but I would take a real boy job.
Yeah, like if it pays enough for you to have a car or something.
Oh hell yeah! If I could justify like taking the time away from all my other hobbies, like I'm just gonna learn how to drive in like 3 weeks, so I could get to this job.
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
But yeah, that's the most interesting thing that happened to me all day.
Huh. Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah,
That's very strange.
it really is.
But
Like,
yeah, I'm not mad at it.
I'm happy it happened. Like it was cool.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's always weird because I think people who hire are like really not paranoid, but like, I mean, I guess it depends on the institution, but like most people who aren't like in normal job hiring spots, like a food service job, they're just like, do you kill people? Otherwise, like whatever, come in.
Like, can we more
Did
like?
you do
Can
the
we
time
prove that
already?
you
You're
kill
fine.
people? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, did you do the time already? Like, do you have like I killed somebody like tattooed on my neck?
Exactly.
Nah, you're
Exactly.
good.
If not, well, is it below a collar line? Even
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's interesting. That it because I feel like that's kind of the I like the like Willy Wonka style scenario of like
it's very. Oh yeah.
a
It
patronage
is
man
very
being like, I picked you. Fucking come
I
work
can
for me.
inherit his building materials empire when he dies.
Yeah, he makes like
Like,
$8 million a year or something. And you're like, oh shit, I didn't even. What do you do? Oh, nothing. Okay, cool. Like you
Like,
specifically do nothing. You just own it. Like at one point, like you did the work, and now you just like what do you
you're
call
just
it?
kind of like coasting.
Posting, but like yeah. You're just getting. This is the return on your investment.
Yeah. You're just you're living off of like you already made your money make money. Like or like you created a system that just creates wealth for you with minimal input effort, and so you're just hanging out.
Yeah, it's like like being a restaurant owner. Like you really do very little other than like yeah. Your manager pays the rents and stuff.
Yeah, but like outside.
Yeah. Just like no. I made money in like another field. This is my investment. It is weird that like corporations and like businesses rent spaces. Like
Oh yeah.
of all the people, they should know that like it's a buyer's market usually. Like it's almost always worse to rent. Well, not almost always, but like they still are the ones that have to pay for the renovations or whatever and like clear it with building code and all that. Um, it's weird. I don't understand a lot about how businesses like rent spaces because it's not like when you rent an apartment where you can just call your landlord and be like, "This thing's wrong. Can you come fix it?"
And they're like, yeah. They're like,
Yeah, it's for sure not like that. They're like, "You want to keep the lights on? That's kind of on you, Bubba."
Yeah. Which is
Thought you're supposed to be a profitable institution.
like it's
Like unless the ceiling collapses for like structural reasons.
yeah. Like it's your L.
Yeah, for sure. But like
Yeah.
then I don't even know if it's on the like landowner or like the building owner so much as it is. Oh, that's weird too. Like if you own commercial space, but you don't even own the land, you just own the building.
Oh yeah, that's
And you like rent the land or something.
oh
I
yeah. I
doubt
would
that
much
that
rather
happens
own
very
land than a
much.
building.
Oh yeah, for sure. Actually, I
Well,
don't
just
know. I
'cause-
would if you have to pay rent on the land still, yeah, not ideal, but like
Oh yeah. If I were gonna buy one or the other.
yeah.
Well, just because like like a building's like stuff, and you can always like accumulate more stuff, and especially if you've done work to the land already. Like I feel like if there's like a foundation there to a certain extent, you can put a different thing on the same footprint. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I'm not, but like
I mean,
I feel
yeah, it really depends on the building's age because
this is true.
I would assume it's always cheaper to build a building than to like buy a
Modify a
building, like
Oh,
to like make it. Yeah, because
oh, okay.
otherwise, like, but like then I guess probably rents would be part of it too. like where it may not be cheaper to buy a building than to build a building, but you get to like rent it out to people, and that's where you make your money.
Yeah, this is true.
But
I don't know. Was it when I was in state college that I talked to you about that one lot that was like available?
Oh, you did.
Somewhere in the south side.
I think we looked it up, but it had like a lot of debts associated with it that you had to pay to like. That's a big thing, right? Because that's basically what credit is. Like, you can basically fuck over credit card companies your entire life, and
as long as you do it responsibly, I suppose.
Oh yeah, you do it responsibly, but like with very maybe not very little effort, but like you don't have to do a lot to get like a bunch like to get like $100,000 or whatever.
Oh yeah, they're banking on you being like financially irresponsible, and so if you maintain financial integrity, you can take them for all they have.
Especially if you own property, that's the big thing. Because like if you own property, then they can like repossess your house or affect like your mortgage rate or something because of your credit. And then if anybody involved in like the bank, like that's where banks make money, is like repossession. Because then they own land, and then they can develop it, or they can sell it to a developer for like a good rate, or like not even that much, but like definitely more than what you paid them.
Exactly. Like they can, because it's effectively. I'm not saying like it's not worthless isn't the word, but like they didn't break the bank on it. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's the big thing, like just interrupting generational wealth. Just saying like, you own land, but you can't pass it on to your kid because we have this like because you maxed out all your cards or whatever before you died. So, and you were still paying it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I still, because I feel like it's definitely important to interrupt generational wealth in certain examples, like in if you become, I guess if you're like stupidly wealthy, like I would say if you have more than like $1 million or something like that you could like, if you can do like more than $1 million work to the economy or something like that, then I feel like, yeah, definitely to a certain extent your wealth should be interrupted. Like, or maybe $1 million isn't the number, but you know what I'm saying?
Million's pretty low. Like lifetime, not much at all.
This is true. But I'm trying to think about like, I'm thinking about like discrete events or something like that. Like,
sure, maybe.
Because
I don't think like, I think at the billion mark, at the billion mark, it gets weird, and I don't think that should be a thing. Like, what are you going to spend? Yeah, what are you going to spend $1 billion on? Like, you have enough money that you could never die. Like, you could pay for any doctor. You could pay for any doctor for any number of kids that are like related to you, or even that you care about. You can own pretty much as much property as you really want.
Yeah, like outside of like super duper expensive endeavors like seasteading or something.
Oh, for sure, but like property enough for like you and your family, like as long as you're not delving into like, I mean, I guess like, you could eat it up.
Ridiculously absurd. Like,
if you bought like a literal just town, like a town full of houses that all cost like $100,000 or something.
Yeah.
Or like 500,000 plus, you could probably eat it up pretty quickly with that. But still, that's like $100,000, right? That's like $1 million is 10 houses, or like $500,000 is 2 houses. So 10 million would be 20, 100 million would be 200. So
that's like 2,000 houses.
Yeah, 2,000.
$1 billion is 1,000.
Like 2,000, like 2,000 mansion style houses.
Yeah. So So what was
like 500,000? So yeah, that's like buying up. Yeah. Like basically buying Park Place. Like like you're playing Monopoly. Oh, that was something I learned today. I mean, it kind of makes sense because I keep hearing a lot about Monopoly in regards to like land usage and development and stuff. Just because like market bidding on land usage for like housing is a little bit weird. And it also is a lot of it's based on like the expectation that you have like a commuting economy. So you basically have like business suburbs rather than like businesses near where people live. You have businesses near where people work, but nobody lives there, which is fucking weird. So it's like a ghost town when businesses aren't operating.
Oh yeah. Like after hours, like at 1 a.m. no one's there. You're like that kind of.
Yeah, you don't have like a corporate office and then like a floor above it there's apartments that are like a pizza guy lives there or something, or like not even a pizza guy but like a school teacher or something.
That I don't know. Those like pockets of uninhabited Earth are very strange.
They are.
Like,
I mean, most of it is uninhabited, but like
that's true. But,
uninhabited doesn't mean untouched, I suppose.
Yeah. But like the idea of like people, because like the commute makes sense, right? Because you can't always do the work that you do to justify your existence in society, like right next to where you live or exactly where you live. So the commute makes sense, right? And if a commute makes sense in general, right? Like, or for one person, then it makes sense for like a number of people, maybe even like thousands or like a town's worth of people, right? But I think it's odd for like a hypothetical town's population to all have to go to a quote unquote like to like a metropolitan area to work in the businesses that are there, right? And then leave that place. You know what I mean?
I think it is very strange to think about metal, because like that's like the big way we make like buildings go up is like metal and concrete, but like steel reinforced concrete is how we get skyscrapers.
This is
that's
true.
how we get large buildings. And not even just skyscrapers, but like even city buildings usually have that just because like structural integrity. But like that hasn't been around that long. And how long do you think we can keep it up? Because it still degrades, like no matter how much structural and like
this is true. I think that
you can keep steel up very nicely, but like entropy exists, and eventually that steel will rust and rot, and it'll go to like a scrapyard. And nobody really buys metal from scrapyards, which is strange. Just because, like,
except for I guess like recyclers, maybe ?
Like,
I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, I guess the scrapyard would be the recycling mechanism, so they wouldn't be purchased. Like, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't like businesses don't really do that.
I think that like things I think like the Empire State Building will probably be standing for longer than we're alive. Definitely. I think that just to the extent that it's a cultural icon. Like I think they'll keep it from falling, and not like the same thing for like the Chrysler.
They'll
building.
at least build like a Freedom Tower if it like.
Yeah, they'll preserve the New York City skyline to save their fucking lives. That's what I think they'll do. Like, probably. Like, I think that as materials improve, they'll just keep them from falling. But as far as, like, I'm trying to think if they're, like, skyscrapers.
As far as renewable resources, though, for, like, I guess you could have, like, some sort of, like, energy-based treatment for, like, renewable resources, like some super compressed wood type thing that had some sort of structural something, but like
to what end? Like to replace steel?
Not to replace steel, but like I guess theoretically, I don't even know.
Like, but for like the purposes of building construction?
Yeah, I guess because like things were wood for the most part for the longest time, like wood and rock.
They're probably if they could get like graphene composites to work in a like a commercially viable way, that's probably the play to the extent that graphene is super strong.
Yeah, because I guess rock is always being made. Like
this is true.
Recycled.
Yeah. Like
that's a cycle. So it is a renewable resource in that sense, but
and like I think that I don't know. I actually definitely not. Well, I'm trying to think if I feel like when people stop using steel on the whole, like when there are no humans that use steel for large building constructions anymore, will be a different type of organism probably. Like, not to say that steel's like that important as a material. I'm just saying it's so ubiquitous, and we've got like so much like time into the working and manufacture and like implementation of steel structures and whatnot, that I feel like by the time everybody stops using steel, like the idea of using steel to build skyscrapers is like, oh bro, like you might as well build that out of fucking wood. Like by the time the idea is like that, will probably be like, I don't know, some kind of ascended organism, or we'll have bobbed ourselves back to the Stone Age or something.
I don't know, how long has it even been around? Like steel reinforced concrete.
Because I know
Reading
that they
the
started building the skyscrapers in like the early 19s, right?
but still, that's only like 100 years.
Oh no,
So
yeah,
like
it's
even
not a
in the
long time.
scale of and if you're talking about humans, we're like talking about really like maybe 20,000 years worth of civilization, 30,000 depending on who you talk to, but like
I was just gonna say I would disagree with the 30,000 like for civilization.
um
Civilization.
like I know like there's some speculation about like the pyramids and stuff in Egypt about like how long ago that was dated at, but like I don't know. Yeah, I don't
Oh,
think it's 30,000.
oh yeah. I was gonna like truncate the time.
That's what I meant by like depending on who you talk to.
Oh
But
yeah. But
yeah.
I think that yeah, I will when I say that like just to like I guess put a finer point on exactly what I mean about like humans no longer using steel in large scale building construction. I mean in the same way that we don't make like monoliths out of stone, you know what I mean? In the same way that we don't produce ziggurats anymore, we'll probably
Mhm.
stop producing like large scale steel structures like after because I feel like and that might just be me being like, a bit too transhumanist or like futuristic or something like that. But part of me is like, because of how just because of the time in we have on the process of manufacturing steel, and like you said, it has not been a super duper long time, but to the extent that like we like the manufacture and use of steel is very, very ubiquitous. I imagine for us to radically shift like building models, like to the extent that like, oh, like what was that, a skyscraper? Ah, the bones made out of steel, let it fall. We'll just put something else there. I feel like I feel like the amount we'd have to improve it's not even that dramatic. I just feel like that type of paradigm shift would probably only coincide with like other radical paradigm shifts. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I was not even that. You can ignore everything I was saying because apparently like 32% of the Earth's mass is iron. So
Oh no, it's a lot. It's a lot.
yeah, I mean that's the mass, not like like volume, but like still,
Mm-hmm.
because
Oh no,
obviously
there's
it's
like
way denser than a lot of the stuff
mm-hmm.
we're talking about. But yeah, that's
There's
still a
only
lot.
yeah, I think
Apparently, you can
there's
build
definitely
quote, many hundreds of Death Stars with the amount of iron we have.
many hundreds.
Many hundreds of Death
Many
Stars.
hundreds.
Yeah,
My favorite
according to
unit.
Quora.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like Quora. Quora is a fun. It's probably a narcissistic thing why I like Quora. Anyway, do you? Oh, this is I was gonna say even like I imagine I don't know an interesting thing will be when humans start mining asteroids. Well, when I say start, like that's
Oh,
inevitably
that's
going to
true.
happen. Like
That's
I don't
true.
know
I
what's going to
mean,
happen,
not
but
inevitable.
like
I won't say
exactly
inevitable.
that's yeah
But yeah,
exactly. Like I'm not like that's why I was
but
so
for
now
sure, if we
when but
get
like
there,
if
if we
slash
get,
when
oh
yeah
yeah,
that's going to be interesting.
if we get good enough space technology, for sure.
Oh yeah, like if
It
we
is
can
wild
effectively
though to think that there are enough materials on Earth to explore space, like in a positive feedback loop, like where we gain materials, like in a way that we can't just like sustain, explore, return, or die. Like
mm-hmm.
enough materials to get to the next spot. That's
Oh
pretty.
yeah, like the idea that like oh man like
And I don't even know if it's true, but like that'd be dope. Because
I
like how many
that
rockets
definitely
can we send into space with several
the
Death
amount
Stars
of
of
oh
steel,
yeah
like
yeah
several
yeah like
hundreds
probably
of
like
Death
hella
Stars. Like yeah. If we
especially
actually
yeah
work on a Death Star, then I suppose we could get several hundred Death Stars and then be like, this is it.
yeah
Or I
peace
guess
out Earth.
a few Death Stars minus like or like yeah, hundreds of Death Stars minus like 2 or 3 for the rockets it'll take to get to the Death Stars. But like yeah.
Yeah. Do
Because
you?
you couldn't
Well,
build a Death Star on the Earth,
oh yeah,
most likely.
definitely not. I imagine like that type of. It would be super duper like an interesting type of large scale construction would be like, oh yeah, in order to finish this project, we're actually gonna have to like disassemble like we're gonna have to like disassemble like 100 square kilometers of land like or not you know what I
Oh
mean
well,
or
yeah, I
like something
definitely like the
even more
idea that you're
ridiculous.
like firing just a bunch of raw materials into space, and then somebody is like space
And you're just like no, I needed
spacewalk
this
trying to put
sixth
them
of the
together like
planet.
Legos.
Yeah.
Like it's like the movie whatever with Sandra Bullock.
Oh, gravity.
Gravity, yeah, where like just massive objects are just flying at them and they're trying to catch them and stick them on a Death Star type thing in
Oh my
space.
gosh, I'm bleeding so much from my ankle. I had such an open wound. Oh, hold
From
on.
what?
Let me.
What happened?
Oh, well, I don't know. But
Corey
let me
is
say
not
this
coming
one thing.
back, but he's gonna bleed out on the
Let me say
podcast
this
live.
Let me say this one thing. I feel like by the time we start, if we could mine asteroids effectively, we'd effectively be living in like a post-scarcity world, and like not necessarily in a positive sense, just to the extent that like there's enough gold in space to dwarf the amount of existing gold like in circulation on the planet Earth, right?
Mhm.
And whether or not we can get it is a whole different question, or whether like we can ever get to a place where we can get it. But if we did, right, that would effectively bring the like economic value of gold way down, like way.
Oh, you know
down.
that's already happened in human history, because like I mean, not with gold. I mean, I'm sure it has like Mansa Musa type shit, where like he brings gold into the economy and it like just throws everything off. Where you're like, oh no, we had this much gold and we thought that's all there was on Earth, and you just threw like a potato-sized rock at us. And but like that happened in a big way with silver. Like there were mountains in like South America, I think like the Andes specifically, that just have like they're basically just made of silver. And so when the Spanish came over, they mined all this silver, and by mined I meant they made all the indigenous people mine it. They're like, oh, yeah, here, thanks for all this, and then they brought it back, and I think China literally just stopped using silver because they're like, oh, this is fucking worthless. Thank you very much. Thank you
like, hey,
so much for this.
This is
hey,
trash.
Thanks. We're gonna have to like incorporate this in medicine now, just so that we can get rid of it. You fuck.
Exactly. That would be an interesting way to like, because I imagine, I think when a lot of people imagine like a post-scarcity society, it's because of like some kind of like Star Trek style replicator technology, like some kind of molecular reassembler, so you can like turn the air into food or something like that, or you could turn like the ground itself into like viable building materials via like like nanotechnology or some shit. But it would be interesting just to say like, oh no, due to our advanced space travel, we have such an abundance of all the raw materials for all the things that all their cost has effectively been driven to zero.
I forget what the story was, but like there's some story where like some imperial some I'm pretty sure it was like British Empire people, but it could have been somebody else, brought like a bunch of gifts to China, like on a trip, like a trade event, and they just like stuck them in like basically a urinal and left them there. And when like the people came back, they're like, what'd you do with all those gifts we gave you? And they're like, don't look at the bathroom.
Like, oh jeez.
Gold and silver worth about nothing right now.
Exactly. You gave me some gold leaf, and I was like, oh, I'll wipe my ass with this.
Oh yeah.
To answer your question, I have no idea where this ankle wound is from. I think it feels like it was open, because I think I ripped it open again when I took off my sock. So I think I had an uncovered sock on, like, it was a wound skin, like an open wound direct to sock fabric, and I just ripped it open again, and I'm now bleeding because of the violent removal of the sock fabric. Oh, do you want to hear something super? Well, I think it's really funny, but it might be too dark. Well, it's not even that dark, but it's just, it doesn't make for the best podcast content. It's a little morbid, let's say.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so I left a razor blade on the ground just because I'm irresponsible like that sometimes. And I kicked this razor blade when I went to stand up, and I was like, fuck. And I went to check my foot for injury, right? And I was looking at my smallest toe on my right foot, and I was like, somehow I am unscathed. And I was like, God damn, I should take this as a sign. And I started cleaning my room, right? And then I went to sit back at my desk. And I looked down, and I'm like, what's that red stuff? And then I was like, ew, and I went to touch it, and I looked at my hand, and I was like, this can't be my blood. I just checked, and I'm injury-free. I don't believe this. And, oh yeah, okay, so the thing I think is funny is just like how I was in such disbelief at my own being injured. Like, I was like, I'm made of meat and full of blood, and you're telling me that I can't collide with a very fine steel wedge and be uninjured? I was just very taken aback. It took me a hot second to, like, not put it all together, but I was just like, I'm pretty sure I was fine. I checked just like a second ago. But yeah, that's my story.
Oh no, okay, yeah. So I found the specific historical thing I was talking about.
Oh,
It's
okay.
the McCartney Embassy. So it was the British Empire, but like it was in 1792, and the Xianlong Emperor was like, our celestial empire possesses all things in prolific abundance and lacks no product within its borders. There is therefore no need to import the manufactures of y'all, basically. Like, yeah, we'll fucking eat it. Like,
Exactly.
there's food at home.
Keep your stuff. We don't need it.
Yeah, we're good. Oh yeah, that reminds me of another story. When I was working at Giant still, when I was a grocery guy, one of the cashiers like complimented this dude with like a Vans jacket on.
Yeah.
And the dude just gave it to him.
Interesting.
Like this customer just was like, "Oh, you're a cashier at a grocery store," and then just gave him the jacket because he's like, "Oh, you're probably like almost homeless."
I would feel so honored if someone gave me my jacket, but that's mostly because I'm very attached to all my existing jackets.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm
But
very
like at the
big on
same
my-
time, it's kind of like, I mean, it's not, it's a nice gesture, but it's also kind of like, fuck you. Like I am, like the dude was in school, but like I think this dude, it's kind of like a dude we know crossing guard jacket thing.
No, yeah.
It's like, oh no, I made you give me your money because you thought I was poor.
Oh yeah, but like, I don't know. Would that have to? I don't think I would give someone my jacket if they liked it. But if like if they were like a person who was visibly near death due to cold, you know what I mean? Like, if I saw someone in there, I was like, oh, they're gonna freeze to death tonight if I don't do anything, I would give them my jacket.
Mm-hmm. Also, grocery stores are very, very weird in terms of like, I want to know what the like caloric input is to like build a grocery store versus
like their average caloric output or something like that.
Yeah, like the amount of food that people take home. Like, I guess it would have to be. I don't know. It's strange because obviously like oil, um, is super cheap just because it's like subsidized and we have
Well,
good
when you say
supply
like the
chains for
caloric
it.
input, do you mean like because you
The
can
amount
probably
of
get
energy it takes to build and maintain
a
a
and then like
facility,
you
like
could
keep
convert
the
that to
lights
like
on, because grocery stores are basically just giant warehouses.
this is true. This is true in like partially heavily refrigerated warehouses. But yeah,
Like most stores, are just
I
basically
actually
warehouses,
that's actually a really good question because
and those are like
it
really
requires a
difficult
lot
to
of
keep.
energy to keep a grocery store together. Or
And
like
then,
going.
so yeah, you have to like heat the grocery store so that the customers are like comfortable, and then you also have to cool all the food, like not all the food, but like all the perishable items.
Yeah. Like a big chunk of food.
Yeah, you have to keep it in like a refrigerated enclosure, and you really can't moderate. Like it's not like I don't know if your parents were ever like, close the fridge door. You're gonna let out all the energy or something. But like my parents would say that sometimes. Like, what are you looking for? Like, wrap it up. Keep moving.
Calm down. Yeah, here, take a picture. It'll last longer.
Yeah.
I actually, you see, because part of me is like, I think some grocery stores might. Like, I've seen like very, very high traffic Walmarts that probably output the amount of caloric, like, and they're probably breaking even in like input to output caloric energy. But like most grocery stores, I feel like just don't see the foot traffic. Like, they don't export enough food calories in the form of food to equal the amount of energy that it requires to store and like re-up.
Some fun stuff I did learn when I was working there. Apparently, demographic changes are occurring where like people are buying. I don't even know if they're buying less food, but like they're buying less food per trip now. Like people don't. I mean, it obviously has some like measurement or like baseline value in like the greater economic like situation of a certain like region, and I'm pretty sure that might have just been metrics for our store, but it seemed, I think our GM talked about it in terms of like general grocery trends, but like people buy like 10
Like
items or
fewer
less
food.
far more frequently than they buy like $400 worth of groceries.
Oh yeah. What, like, because
Like,
how would you say? Because I was gonna say I make like infrequent groceries. I make frequent grocery store trips for relatively small. Like I buy like $30 worth of food, and I eat that $30 worth of food over the week, or like over a
I buy like
5-day
$30
period.
worth of food every like 2 weeks, like in a big trip.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting.
But then I'll buy like probably like 1 or 2 snack items every once in a while if I'm just feeling it.
Interesting. And I think that I would actually be super curious as to how that relates to like age, like occupation, like what am I trying to say? And geography.
Well, age I think is definitely big because that obviously has some bearing on like previous economic experience. And a lot of people's consumer habits really, like, especially older people, like, they're not a very valuable market for most consumer goods because most of their brand preferences are already kind of set. They're like, I know what I like. I'm going to eat it till I die. Or like, yeah, I like this one brand of clothing, so I'm never going to buy anything else.
Yeah,
but young people, I mean, and not even young people, but like most people substitute for like food items unless it's something where like they've tried the off brands and they're just dog shit.
Oh yeah, or like if they've Googled them, it's like, because I Google them sometimes, I'm like, hey, what? Oh my gosh, I was.
But for like produce, most people will just be like, I'm gonna get what's like good.
Yeah.
Or like what's cheapest.
Yeah. Oh, well, interesting.
Or like if there are competing brands, like if there are two like banging peanut butters and the same jar of one costs less, you're just gonna be like, I'm gonna grab that because like
exactly.
Whatever.
Like I'm not trying to like, is it like, do I need to die on the peanut butter hill? But yeah, because I'm trying to think about like, because I think the reason I buy grocery, like, because I don't have like a whole bunch of disposable income sort. Well, I guess to a certain extent, all my income's disposable, but it's locked up in the idiosyncrasies of my life, right? But I don't have like a whole bunch of disposable income, and I try not to lock down a whole bunch of my money at one time. I'm bad at storing food in the long term, like not terrible, but like.
Oh, I don't stockpile really.
Yeah,
like I'll do micro stockpiling where I'm like, I'll get some peanut butter for like a month.
Yeah. But I won't like I don't like to buy, like, I don't like to store meat a whole bunch. Like I can, and if you like gave me a frozen roast, I would store it over time.
Like a chunk of meat, yeah, for sure, I'd do that.
Exactly, but like I don't like to have to, and sometimes I forget.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Exactly, and so I think that within that model, it makes it easier for me to buy groceries in short bursts, or like. I don't know, because it's not. I buy groceries for a period of time, but the period of time is short. Like I buy food for the week, like for the 5-day to the 10-day span. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like it would definitely be different. I imagine I'd be curious as to the influence geography of like the customer has on that, or customer relation to the store.
A lot, because like food deserts are a thing. But
yeah.
That's the other thing. Geography of the store, like because most people will go to like the closest grocery store because it's a pretty dumb prospect to drive to a different grocery store to get lower prices because you're spending the extra money on gas and all the if you're going in and comparing region, prices, there's a cost-effective reason, but it's limited by the most basic cost of that, like travel and time are not free.
Oh yeah,
so unless you just got a bunch of time to kill, like taking pictures of peanut butter prices and then going to Walmart and taking pictures of peanut butter prices and then going to the other stores and taking pictures of peanut butter prices. Like you kind of know. The internet. I mean, most prices aren't on the internet. The in-store prices.
Well, John, do you have the Walmart app?
The big stuff is like flyers. Walmart might because they have like a.
Oh yeah, Walmart. Yeah,
good
Walmart
integration.
does. Target might. Like big name grocery stores might. Like maybe like a
But-
Whole Foods or a Ralph's.
Like a find your store, see the prices that are there right now.
Yeah. Because I think that because like I know that big stores do that on the whole. Like I think like Lowe's definitely does that and whatnot. But like obviously every grocery store on the planet does not.
Yeah, but like it gets weird with like Walmart and stuff because they have like you can buy all your groceries online and have them delivered to your house from
Or
those stores, or
have
like
someone else like shop for you and pick them up or something like that.
Oh, not even that, but just like you can just buy like
I'm
15
saying
jars
you
of
can
peanut
also
butter
do
on
that.
the website. But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how good. I mean, I can just do the research right now. Yeah.
But what's the question you're asking?
I don't know. I
Or
don't
like,
remember what I was saying. But yeah, it's just weird when people do that because, yeah, I don't know.
Because I live most of the time. Well, here's the thing I was gonna say about geography related to my life is that if I lived like a 10-minute walk away from this Walmart, like because I frequent a Walmart most of the time for my groceries, but if I lived like a 10-minute walk away from this Walmart, I would just buy food in the beginning of the day, eat that food, right? Or I would buy food for like 2 days or like 3 days or something like that. Like if I knew I could get there very quickly all the time. But
You have a fridge?
Oh no, I have a fridge, right? But like or what am I trying to say? Or I'd be willing to make trips to the store at a higher frequency. Because the primary reason I don't buy buy a lot of food, I should say, is just because like a Walmart will give me my best food selection near me, and the Walmart I frequent is either like a bus, like a short bus ride. It's not a long bus ride at all. It's maybe like 10 minutes, maybe. Or it's like a 20-minute walk away. And I'm not above booking it 20 minutes, but like most of the time I go after work or before I have to do something else. And it's maybe like 40 minutes there and back, let's say. And I'm not trying to walk 40 minutes if I don't have to, or catch a bus if I don't have to. So I prefer to do that like one time during the week, at maximum 2. But if I lived much closer, I'd be willing to like visit a store much more frequently.
Dog, if I was in that scenario, I would just buy groceries online. Like I would be buying so many cans of beans and having them shipped to my house. Like just buy a case of beans and like rice and shit. Like
I actually might. I've been fucking heavily with like pinto beans recently.
I don't know.
I've been a big pinto bean boy.
I really like garbanzo beans. They're pretty banging. I like a good black bean. Pinto beans are all right. They're all right.
I just like, it's not that they're my favorite. I won't say that they're my favorite bean. They're definitely not my least favorite bean. I don't think I've consumed enough beans to give you a favorite, or like consumed enough beans in a discerning manner. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yo, Sam's Club online is a great business model.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it really is.
Like if that was a thing. I mean, I'm sure it is, but like.
Oh, but just the idea of like, oh, bro, do you need like 100,000 rolls of toilet paper? Mm-hmm. Buy them online or something. Yeah, that's definitely something I would participate in. There's right across the street from this Walmart. There's a Sam's Club for obvious reasons. But I actually live I live maybe a 15-minute walk away from like a Costco.
Oh, dog, I'm gonna buy so many fucking beans. You can get like a lot of 56 beans for like. Oh, never mind. No, that multiplies. That's not good.
For a second, I thought you were gonna say like $3. That's like.
No, I was gonna say like you can get like 400 cans of beans for like $20, and I mean doesn't actually sound that far off because like you can get like most cans of beans for like 50 cents a pop.
Oh, or like yeah, like under $1.
Yeah.
I also live near next to this Costco is a discount grocery store. Are you familiar with like the Aldi grocery store format?
The what?
Like it's like I think it's a type of chain discount grocery called an Aldi.
No, I've never heard of that.
Okay. Oh yeah, but it's just it's a grocery store, and they have like cheap groceries in that like most of their food is like less expensive than you would find at a Walmart, and it's also within walking distance. But I don't know. I prefer not to buy my protein there, and also.
What do you mean by protein?
Just like if I'm gonna buy like raw meat, I prefer not to do that at this particular Aldi.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you meant like like
Peanut
meat,
butter.
like protein in general. Yeah, because you can
Oh,
approach
yeah.
a lot of things.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's just that
I really want to make fucking chili now.
you should definitely make chili. Chili is a good time, and I haven't done chili in a grip, mostly because I just haven't bought ground beef. Yeah. I think I. Oh, say what were you gonna say, please?
Oh no, I was just gonna go into the. Basically, I was gonna do because like I would really fuck with a chili that had like some chickpeas, that's garbanzo, some
That
white
does
bean,
sound like
some kidney bean,
Mhm.
some cumin, some hot. I don't know. Do you like a spicy chili? I like a spicy chili. I think.
I was gonna say I feel neutrally about the spice of my chili. Like,
I feel like even if
it
it's not
works within the
like
dish,
hot,
I'm down for any level of spice.
I feel like even if it's not hot, I would like I would
Cold,
like
spicy chili.
like there are spices in it, chili. Like
Oh yeah.
a flavorful, like even if it's annoyingly so, like just packed with fucking dried spices and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's true. I thought you meant spice as in like a mouth.
That too. Yeah. That'd be good.
Are you a big mouth heat boy, John? Do you like spicy food?
I like spicy food.
Like, but how much?
I used to just eat like raw peppers when I worked in a grocery store.
We talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah.
I was like,
Okay,
oh, this is drudge.
It definitely is drudge.
Just really like eating like habaneros and zonked on my bed, like, oh, capsaicin. You could definitely sell like peppers as like a supplement.
Oh, definitely. If you were like, as like not a pre-workout, but like a mid-workout, like, hey, do you need something to distract you from how much it sucks to work out?
Mm-hmm.
Why not hunch down all these capsaicin pills?
Yeah, it's a you say it's like a capsaicin pill, but it like also just looks like a little pepper.
Oh yeah, that would be really cute. That'd be really cute.
Because it is just a pepper.
What are those cinnamon candies? Hot tamales? Is that what they're called?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, like one of those, but just it destroys your whole mouth and insides.
That's true. You definitely do that. How do you feel about that kind of candy? Like a Mike and Ike, like a hot tamale, like Good and Plenty, because it's all the same shit.
I like hot tamales.
Not all the same shit in terms of flavor, but they're basically just different colored or like different flavored jelly beans.
Yeah. They're just like gel pill candy. I don't love Good and Plenty's just because I'm not big on baseline licorice.
That's fair. I like a good licorice, but like not like a candy coated licorice. Like
yeah, definitely not a candy coated situation.
Like I like a licorice that makes my tongue go numb, but like not one that makes me feel like I just drank a soda.
Because I'm not the biggest licorice dude, and like I would say I have a discerning palate, but there's not a lot of food that I hate, and I feel like if you were to give it to me in the right context, I could definitely get into licorice. Like I could be that dude where like, oh, you're like, oh, gross, you like licorice, and I'm like, yeah, right. But I don't think I've had it in the right context to like it.
Mm-hmm.
But what would you say? Well, I was gonna say I think I could guess what your favorite candy is.
What is it?
John's a big fan of if it's sour and has tendrils or is it worm shaped? I would imagine that you're big on it.
I got a bag of Haribo sour gummy bears today, and I'm actually kind of off them just because like the sugary shit is not really fucking with my stomach well, and I don't even know if it's the sugar or if it's just like the texture because they're not very chewy, or like they are very chewy, I suppose. But like they're not very like malleable, and so I feel like I'm chewing on like gum that doesn't give.
Oh yeah,
and then also they're not that sour.
Yeah. Oh, that's not great. I feel like sour candy, Sour Patch Kids are
this is a
trick,
good model
of sour candy. Say where
that's true. That's true. But also those a bit high in the citric acid for sure.
This is true.
That could definitely be lowered a bit because that definitely contributes to like the nausea. I definitely like the idea of having to build in, like having to consult with like chemical engineers and like and do a bunch of like market testing just to build in a self-regulating mechanism to candy, because like that's something they do with like cough syrup where they'll put like guanefacin, I think it is,
Oh,
in,
interesting.
so that like if you drink enough to OD, you'll just throw up instead.
Oh, heard.
I like the
Oh,
idea
so
of that
like,
for candy, where if you're like,
if
oh
you
no,
eat
this
more
is
than
too
a
much.
serving size, yeah, like it
Yeah, if
just.
you eat not even more than a serving size, but
Oh,
like,
but like too much. If you eat too
yeah,
much,
if you eat like enough to put you into like
if
a
you eat like the whole fucking
insulinogenic
bag.
coma.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say some kind of like diabetic catastrophe. Yeah.
Oh yeah, something like that. Especially, I love that idea for like diabetes. It's like, oh no, that's
Oh
too
yeah,
much. We're
like
gonna vomit it
it's
up.
a safety precaution. That I would actually be very down for that because like I have a candy. One of my coworkers who's really nice because she brought in this candy one time and I was like, "What's this candy called?" Because I could eat these candies until I died. And she's like, "I'll just bring you some." And they're called High Chews, and they're like these mango chew things. Like like
I've
how
had them.
like
I've
a
had
butter. Oh yeah, I really like them, John. I like them so
Yeah.
much. And she got me like 6 things, and I'm not eating them a whole bunch right now, mostly just because I've been really anxious about my dental hygiene because I've
Mhm.
spent too much time looking in the mirror and I realized that my front teeth aren't coplanar and I've been real in my head about it.
Oh, mine aren't
And
either, and I noticed it, and I can explain why mine aren't. I like know the history because I had like a tooth extracted, like a front tooth, when I was like
Yeah.
real little.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's why it is. But also, like, I have sort of the Tom Cruise teeth where like my jaw is not aligned, like my lower jaw is not aligned perfectly, so that like
Mhm.
my front two bottom teeth are like the gap between those is perfectly lined up with my front two top teeth. And it's no biggie, but like I'm more worried about like cavities, and I don't want to, if I really do not want to get crowns in my lifetime.
Interesting. Like not even one. I
I
think
don't
I
want
have.
one. I
I think
really don't want one.
I have a crown.
I just
It's
have a
right.
bunch of like large fillings, but like I don't have like, they never like shaved it to a peg and then capped it.
Oh yeah, I've got. I probably have like 3 fillings and like this crown, something like that. I don't know. Like I used to have fuck dental hygiene because of candy, and I think I stopped. Not even that I stopped eating candy. It's just I think that I improved probably like my dental hygiene. I think what I'm saying is that when I was younger, I just didn't brush my teeth, and like not enough, I guess,
Oh, for
because
sure I
obviously I
didn't.
wouldn't have the same like problems, or maybe I just like slept on like a little bit of gummy candy material would just get stuck in my molar and they would just be there for a week. You know what I mean? Or something like
Yeah.
that, like the same candy bit. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I really want a water pick. My mom has a water pick, and like my coworkers have recommended water picks to me. They're really nice.
Oh, I used to have a water pick.
Did you
Very
like it?
interesting. I don't know if I'd use it now just because I do have the fillings. Kind of jived about them like popping my fillings out,
Interesting.
but I'm sure it's not that high pressure.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say.
But I had it when I had like a retainer or something, or
Oh,
like
okay.
whatever the dental stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff's kind of weird
Oh, like just
because it's
modifying the teeth.
yeah. I mean, I think I'm all for it. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
I think the least
it's
amount
like
of
setting
research has been
bones.
done about it.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure there has been some, but like most like not that doctors don't respect dentists, but like surgeons definitely don't. Oral surgeons are different, but like just like, because I think we've discussed it before, dentists are more like a tech job rather than like a medical job. I don't know if you have to go to medical school to be a
I don't know if
dentist.
you have to go to medical school proper. Let me look that up actually right now. But
Because I think you can just get like a dental tech, like maybe if you want to own the office, but not if you need to work.
oh yeah, like if you just want to like clean people's teeth, like help someone.
It's kind of like being a vet or something.
Oh yeah, or like how you can be like a surgical tech without being like because becoming a surgical tech is like an associate.
Mm-hmm. I definitely like the idea. Like I forget who I was saying it with. I think it was maybe my parents. But like I definitely like the idea of being able to practice surgery.
Oh yeah, like just casual.
Yeah. Just be like, listen, like the idea of like democratized research, like you don't need to be associated with an academic institution to like get to write research grants. like, especially if you're dealing with information that's available to the general public, why are you writing research grants? Like, why are you asking other people for money to do something that you could do for free? You're just doing it because you're like, hey, if I do this work, will you pay my salary for the year? That seems a little bit weird.
Yeah, that is. Well, wait. My bad. I was reading about that to start. What was the start concept? I heard the end, but what was the start concept?
Oh, I definitely like the idea of like democratized research because
Okay.
there's some of that in like fields that aren't so high stakes, like Paul Stamets with mycology.
Oh yeah. He is a
Um,
mycologist. Fucking Paul
he
Stamets
just
with
does a
his
lot of
stupid money.
independent research, and then I think he eventually got like enough clout that he got like honorary degrees and stuff that allowed him to start associating with like
Like,
formalized institutions
oh yeah,
to
I'm really
do
big
some of the
into.
work.
Mhm. I'm really big into the idea of similar in like I'm not exactly sure of like Paul Stamets like exact like career path or anything, but I like the idea of doing important citizen science, like citizen science that leads you to working with actual scientists. Just because
Mhm.
like I I don't know,
Oh,
I've
his
never
career path, he was like a logger, and then he did a bunch of like mycology research by himself, or maybe not by himself, but like not with an institution. And
Oh yeah.
then he like opened up some, like, I think he sold spores
Hmm.
in magazines and stuff.
Hmm.
And then he just does like a lot of like documentary work now.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say
then
he
he
does
has
like
like,
he's
I
become
think,
modern Paul Stamets. Like
I think he's like, I don't know if he works for On It or if he just has his own like supplement company, but he has a lot of like mushroom based
oh yeah, like because I've been to like his
nootropics or whatever.
yeah, I've been to like his website or whatever. Like
Oh, I
I've
thought you were
definitely
gonna say
looked.
like you visited his thing. Been to, yo, you
What if I
travel
was
a
like,
lot. Not like a lot, but like a lot more than I do.
I've been to, well, general, like, do you mean in like
Yeah, because like
how
you've done like visits to universities. I didn't do any visits. I did not do a single visit.
Oh
Like I think
wow,
I
that's
visited
interesting.
Erie, but it wasn't because like the purpose wasn't to visit Erie. We were just in Erie for
Oh,
vacation.
and you just
We're like,
happened to
well,
be there?
yeah,
Did you were? Yeah. Oh, interesting.
I
Interesting.
did like
I,
when I was in like seventh or eighth grade. I took like a summer vacation thing with my grandparents. Like we went to I think Chicago for a
hmm.
couple nights or something. I've been to New York once, but like
Hmm.
I don't
I
know.
think that. Yeah, it's definitely. I don't know. It's interesting because like sometimes I feel I would say that I'm definitely my mom's a real Indiana Jones type and has like and hustled a lot so we could go places and I to that extent I think I'm very lucky to have been to every place that I've ever been to ever. But
Oh, old
I
people
also
love to travel. Like old people with a little bit of money love to travel. They're just like, yeah.
I don't know how true that is. Well,
Because like
not
my
like
grandparents in the same boat. They're just like, we like to like go up to Vermont to visit relatives or something. I'm like, okay, that's cool. You drove there? Very cool.
no, it well interest. I don't know. I think my mom might be like my mom is I would say that I think she's closer to like the archetypal adventurer than the average well I was gonna say average person obviously but average
Fair.
yeah yeah that's close enough I don't want to think about the word anymore that I'm looking for but in that like when she lived in West Virginia for a short period of time like when her contract took her there she like she went on like essentially a covered bridge grind and she like signed all these covered bridges and I think she hit like a bunch of them. She hit
Yo,
like
that's
too many.
okay. That's another thing. My aunt loves covered bridges, like Nathan and Phoebe's ma.
Oh,
She
okay.
loves covered bridges, and she
Interesting.
fancies herself like a photographer. But like, also, I don't know if she realizes that everybody's a photographer
Oh
now.
man, that's I okay. Continue with what you were saying. I just remembered an intersection.
Oh no, go
I
for
did
it.
the
Go for it.
sentences. Oh, my mom's because my mom's a travel person and like a photographer. She's
Yeah.
like she won like Grange Fair awards and whatnot. I'm not trying to say that my mom's bad and that like I'm not saying that my mom's bad or that like winning Grange Fair awards isn't impressive just because I've never won anything for any picture I've ever taken
It's
and I've
somewhat
taken so
impressive.
many.
Like it's a pretty large agricultural festival.
Oh, this is true. And I've taken like so many pictures, my phone is slower. So, but she she took pictures of the last day that Saratoga Racetrack in New York was running, like the last race of the last day of the season, and there was a horrible horse accident. Like there was this horse compound fractured its leg. They had to put it down. She took pictures of it. Apparently, she like emailed. She heard that the news was her local news was having some kind of bit about these people, and she emailed them, and apparently they used her pictures. She said she was at work at the time it happened, so she didn't get to like see it, but like I think there's a link somewhere to where it was like streamed at a point in the past.
Was it just a photo or a video or what?
Oh, it was like a series of photos. I think she took like
Did she get like
the horrible compound fracture?
No. Did she get not credit, but like did she get like compensation for that?
I don't think so.
That's
I'll ask her about the end of that. But like she's mostly just happy to have like her photographs as like
for sure.
Yeah.
But like I was gonna say like from like a branding standpoint, if you were like, I got exclusive videos of like a bone sticking out of this horse's leg.
No, well, she doesn't have video, but like she has 16 pictures that take place within 2 seconds of actual time. I think that was like the rate she was firing shots at, and so she's got like a storyline of the horrible compound fracture.
My granny has a SLR that like she doesn't adjust any settings on.
Oh, like don't have a fancy camera if you're not going to adjust the settings.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy because like my yeah, man, like we had faith in God, and over our lifetimes we got richer, but it's because my grandparents were born in like 1920, and they experienced like the post-war boom. So like they went from like not like silver, yeah, I guess probably like the like smoke and flash photography.
Mm-hmm.
Like a puff of smoke underneath a curtain, pull a string, and then the like light panel explodes photography to like SLRs, and those being like affordable because of like the supply chain and the consumer manufacturing and international trade and all that. And they're like, oh yeah, we're so rich we can afford a $1,200 camera. But then like every high schooler with like a part-time job can also afford that now.
Over time, yeah. But like, if that's the only place your money is going easily.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you're not having to pay rent or you don't have to like pay for your own groceries.
I miss having no place for my money to go. I was balling so hard in junior year of high school before I got a credit card. I was balling so hard, John.
Oh, I still don't have credit cards because I don't trust that shit within an inch of my life. But
that's a John Wood stance, if there ever was one. But
well, it's just
definitely
like,
no, it's reasonable. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's definitely a John Wood stance.
I mean, like basically my play is to get like 4 years of rent and then get credit for that, and then use that credit to like buy a house or something, or like find an apartment that's low rent enough that I can also have savings to like make a down payment on a house.
Oh, heard. My plan to establish my good credit. Oh, say what you were going to say?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, my foray into establishing solid credit is, I guess, like, it's my iPad situation in that, like, that's the only actual, like, outside of, like, feeding myself and getting around, like, all those things, right? Like, yeah, outside of just, like, the maintenance on my life, it's not free for me to live where I live, but it's within the cost of my house, of my schooling, which does not fall directly on me. And so my iPad is like the only actual bill I pay, and when I switch it'll be like I'll pay like my phone bill, and I've paid this like for I think like since April, and I think on time, except for like one day by like 30 minutes, which I'm still pissed about because I almost went to sleep and I was like, oh holy shit, I'm supposed to pay a bill today, and I felt really bad. But I guess that's sort of like paying this off mostly on time. I'll say predominantly on time over a long enough period of time is kind of my foray into establishing solid credit.
I really don't want to own a vehicle just because insurance and upkeep on that depreciating asset is so high. Like my play is to try and get to a place that has like a really good transportation system.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely. Like, I want to learn how to drive, but I think I would be very into the concept of leasing a vehicle. Like, I think that would probably be my like.
Leasing's a play. Leasing's a play
Yeah.
for sure.
Like, step one, learn how to drive, because then I'll have a vehicle that I can use.
I wish that electric cars got leased, but Tesla doesn't lease them, and I forget what like the cheap one is, but like they don't lease either, as far as I'm aware.
That's a situation.
Yeah,
But,
it's just because like Tesla's kind of like
yeah.
the Apple of car manufacturing, where they're like
In a major
all
way.
proprietary technology. You can't fuck with any of our software.
And that's.
And if you do,
Christ,
the warranty is void.
Oh yeah, no. I don't want to get on my soapbox about that style of making things, but it's
Bullshit.
exhausting.
It's bullshit.
It sucks and it's stupid. It's like you're saying that like, hey, this thing I made, that's as good as it ever should get. And that's such an asshole thing to say or think.
That's as good as it ever should get until I get around to making it better.
Exactly. Like we gotta wait
when
on
it's
you
better,
for
it's mandatory to upgrade.
Exactly. Like when it's like only me and mine. There we go. Only me and mine can make things better, and we'll let you know when we've made it better. And when it's better, you gotta use our better thing, and that old thing never existed, right? And like Christ, like.
Yeah. Oh, that's something I would really be for, like some open source patenting, like sort of removing a lot of patent rights. Not like all of them, but for like institutions maybe. Like if there's publicly funded research, like if there's research that comes from like a public institution, even if it receives like private grant money to fund some of that research, you're like no, but it happened because like the building and the school was paid for in part with like tuition. So yeah, no, it's you like you can't have like alumni who graduated who can't afford the medicine or something.
Yeah. Oh, that's definitely.
Oh, and also historically, like most of the biomedical technology we have right now in the US comes because we stole a bunch of patents from German companies after World War II. Like Bayer, like all their like heart medication, all that stuff. We just seized like their patent rights. We're like, no. We're gonna make everything generic. We're gonna make all that generic because
I don't know if you guys knew, but there were Nazis here, and that makes everything here.
Yeah, like you guys made us have like you made us get out of bed in the morning. And that's not a good thing.
My gosh, you made it. You guys made this a war, and then we had to enter it. And because of that, we get all your patent rights. We get all the heart medication.
It is so super weird because like nobody is really against war profiteering when it's like favorable balance of trade has shifted because of a war or something, like where you're like, oh no. You guys don't get human rights for the next 25 years. You don't get labor unionization. You don't get minimum wage. You don't get any of that shit. You don't get good working conditions because
exactly. Like your I was gonna say like your dollar is worth zero, but it's like more than that. It's like
I think it's super interesting though because like
what would you even
the
describe?
US or like Germany and Japan got set up by like the US pretty much after World War II. I mean, obviously Germany had the influence of like the USSR as well, but I don't know. All that geopolitical stuff is super interesting.
Oh yeah, I was actually talking to someone because they were like, I think they were like Caesar was like a Roman dude, right? I was like,
yep.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. And then I started thinking about like how little, because we didn't like cover the Roman Empire in like great depth at any point in any history class I took, but I was thinking about how little I know generally speaking about human history and how a good like personal project would be just to like start at the beginning of human history and then like. Or start at like the earliest point I can and just like go in obviously varying depth as I go, but like to the present, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or maybe working present back, or like a simultaneous situation. But I do very much like because I like the idea of solid historical education in that you could track all the major like political conflict from the first people to right now, probably. You know what I mean? Like you could draw a line.
Oh yeah, because like the legacy of like imperialism transferred to like almost every worldwide government. Like,
Exactly.
because like Britain at one point got colonized. Like, Germany, like all those spots were just nomadic people.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And so if you could be like,
that shit.
oh, like why did like so why is this like what's going on in our country right now? And
Oh,
it's like,
some stuff that I
oh,
think is
bro.
super interesting is that like
Yeah.
a lot of people think about some of the stuff of modern life as exclusive to like the last few hundred years, like plumbing and all that stuff, and irrigation and what do you call it, like basically like water towers and all that stuff, like in like a lot of that infrastructure. But
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff developed independently, like worldwide.
Yeah. Like it's not
Like if
it's
you look
not
at like the pyramids and shit, like
oh yeah,
like
and
the
like things
South
like
American ones, they got like
yeah, and like the aqueducts and whatnot. Like
oh yeah,
they're
yeah. I don't know if they
no,
had
look,
aqueducts, but they
I
had
forget. Were they?
those,
I'm trying to think if they were Roman.
those are Roman, yeah, those are Roman.
Yeah. But
like as far as like gutters and stuff like that, like gutters in the street to like drain sewage,
yeah.
that stuff's not that new.
Oh no, it's not.
Because like people pretty immediately.
No one wants to be around their shit. No one wants to not have water. Like, so get the shit away from it. Get the piss and shit away from everyone. Get the water to all the people. Like, yeah, humans put like or like to people / organisms like plants that need those things. But like, yeah, humans. What am I trying to say? Like, humans can solve these problems. That's actually like that's interesting to think about. Like, I don't know if this conversation was on air or not, because yeah, they all a lot of them run together. But it was about it was about how much of like modern technology you could recreate with if like someone just dropped you on a planet and they're like you're gonna live forever, right? And you could come back to your normal life. You're like you'll live forever.
I don't know if we had any. I don't know if we had the not the qualification, but like I don't know if we had the criteria that you live forever, but we definitely had that.
But like
it's like, hey, drop you in the forest and see what you can do.
Oh, exactly. I think I could definitely make I could give you running water in a major way. I think if you wanted running water, I could do it well, it depends on how much water you want to run. But if you wanted like enough, like a system that creates running water like a couple times per day for like under 10 people, I think that would be relatively easy to do in the woods.
What's your strategy?
Well, I guess, step one, my strategy is to make a water basin really up high. And so I guess if we are, that'll be sort of kind of difficult if it's just like a forest situation. I would find like the largest leaf I could, use some form of like tree resin, make like basically like a rudimentary pine pitch or something like that to like lacquer all these leaves into like a basin of sorts, and I would make that basin as large as I could, and then move that basin as high as I could into the air, while also allowing some type of allowing a pathway to it, like to and from the ground. You know what I mean? And then I would just I would just carry as much water as I could up there. Like this is pre-designing a system to recirculate water, right? But I would carry as much water as I could up there, and then eventually replace that with a system that lifts water periodically, and then just like some kind of either like maybe a channel might not be the word. I was gonna say tube, but channel might be closer. Just like a channel that flows to the ground that you can like start and stop. So you got to make like a rudimentary valve in there, but like that doesn't sound super duper difficult. I think I can make like a rudimentary valve, just something to stop the flow of water. Or if you could probably make some kind of like water elevating system with like a water wheel. Like if you were to power this entire thing with like your source of water, then maybe you could have it set so like, those buckets that fill up like at Arts Fest, the thing that has the buckets that fill up and it drops the water on you. Like one of those where it just drops enough water down aforementioned channel for like a shower or like whatever, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like that sort of system wouldn't be super duper hard to reverse engineer, even without like modern tools. I think it would still suck.
I think just getting any tool would be kind of difficult. I mean, like I don't know, just getting like obviously that doesn't. No, but like because I think the progression would be like quasi Minecraft. You could probably skip the wooden tools, but like in terms of getting like rock, I mean, just because I think rock's the first play, right? Get like a rock
Yeah,
axe.
no.
I
Like
could probably
going from
sharpen
like,
I could make and sharpen like a rock axe in a day.
yeah. And like going from what am I trying to say? Going from like a lack of tools to having or well, I guess from going like generally speaking, like if you didn't have a knife, getting a knife is so hard from the raw materials.
Yeah,
But
getting to like a sharp metal knife that's made of like a
oh
good
yeah,
steel with like a
a
good
sharp metal
reinforced
knife,
handle.
that
Yeah.
is a tall order. That's a tall one.
Yeah, that's gonna take a minute.
Oh yeah, a sharp metal knife is hard. But like a sharp enough rock knife, I think is significantly less hard.
Because
To
like
the extent that
you're not gonna build a mine without like a pickaxe or a shovel or something.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And you're not
as
gonna
far
like
as
yeah.
I
The
think that as
rock
far as-
work is a big time. Like Minecraft,
yeah.
the big joke of like Minecraft is how fucking easy it is to like
just produce like these highly refined
like
structures.
I guess it wouldn't be that hard to get like copper or iron because that's
Have you ever watched those like primitive technology videos where it's
I
just
feel like
the
I
dude
need
in
to
shorts?
now. I really need to.
You really should. I'll send you a couple.
I've seen some of the ones with like bamboo, but if you don't have bamboo around.
Oh no, but like a lot of them are just like he just starts just like he's walking. His feet are so muddy always, which would be my biggest problem. I would need shoes before I did anything. I would need shoes before I did anything.
I like the idea of like just you cut a leaf into like the Nike swoosh.
Oh man, that would be really funny actually. Or actually, no, I would weave the 3 stripes into the side of my primitive footwear because stripes over checks. Anyway.
Oh, that's one of my favorite like kids books. There's a I forget what it's called, but like I think it might be called like the Oogs or some shit. Like I'll Google that, see if that means anything. Nope. Oh wait, maybe. No, that's about frogs. That's not good. But basically like it's a book about cavemen, like the invention of pants. And so like this dude like kills a mammoth and he's like, what if I like use this fabric and like sew it around my legs? And then they just don't know how to sew because they don't have sewing needles. But also sewing needles are pretty old as far as tools go. Just because you can make them out of bone.
This is true. You just need like I guess a material strong enough to hold a point and also thin enough to put through stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which isn't that hard to do with bone because bone's pretty like you can sharpen bone pretty easily.
Oh yeah, in a major way.
Yeah. It might not be like the most stable. Like it would probably snap as soon as it dried out or whatever.
I think making like permanent tools would be really hard. You know what I mean? I think that probably
well there really are no permanent tools. Because
like tools meant to like let's say reusable.
Durable, yeah.
Because actually I don't know that like durability is my concern necessarily. It's just that like the vast majority of tools that I have / will acquire are tools that like I never buy a tool and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get like 3 uses out of this, then fuck it. Like if I acquire a tool, I'm like, I'll have this tool forever unless I actively get rid of it. But I think that trying to switch into like that like early man tool making mode would be difficult because you'd be like, I got to make something that I can use today. Like if I can use this today and it works for all of today, that's fine. But let me send you this.
Because that's the big thing. Because like my first thought was like, like if I swing this, like if I make like an axe or something out of like wood and stone, the big thing would be like, I feel like this stick's gonna break real quick.
Oh yeah, because then that's one of the things, like not being able to treat your tool as like a known quantity, I suppose. Like you gotta be like, all right, I could probably chop down this tree with my axe, but if I try, I might have to get a new stick. Like yeah. Something like that. Oh, but but yeah, I'll send you this. I copy. Oh yeah, I did copy. I'll put this in the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, yeah, I think for watching, like, if you watch like this video, like, so to a certain extent, I think that like if you can make fire and you can find like suitable dirt, then like producing, I think the idea of producing raw metal, or when I say like raw metal, I mean like non-mineralized metal, like shiny bits. I think the idea of producing like shiny bits, not necessarily that hard, like still super hard, like difficult to the extent that you have to like live in the woods on top of it, right? But as far as like crafts done with mud, not necessarily like the most difficult, but I think refining metal to a useful state would be really, really hard without tools. Like without existing tools.
Yeah, I think you'd need like an open pit mine, but I think you could get there pretty quickly if you had like a furnace of some kind.
Well, when you say like an open pit mine, like do you mean like to produce like enough metal like for like a number of people, or just like for you?
For you, like just having like, or not, I don't know if pit mine is the right word. Like where you just go into like an open cave system.
Oh, yeah. Like you need, you need to find like a direct line. Like I think if you're just trying to make like enough, if you wanted to find like enough copper or like enough gold to make a trinket, I think you just do that looking around. But if you want like enough metal to make reliable tools over time, you definitely need like a spot. But yeah, like a hole in the ground. Yeah.
I mean, the one thing I do know about like metals, they come in like veins. So if you found enough, like if you found one bit, you found a spot that has it, so it's not that hard to find it from there. Especially if you're in a like if the conditions of this, we're assuming that it's like uncontacted or like has not been exposed to human behavior in the past, because otherwise I'd just start looking for like plastics and stuff.
I was gonna say like the whole there was this one show there's a show I forget what it is called, but it's this dude and he goes to like abandoned places and just makes stuff out of the stuff that's in those places, and he was trying to make like a hot shower mechanism, and like he used like the same like raised basin idea, and I was like he did something really smart. I think for his mechanism to get water higher, he has like a belt with sponges on it, and he like rotates the belt, and so the sponges get dunked in like river water, and they get squeegeed out over like this kiddie pool that he put in a tree, which is really smart actually. But I think that, yeah, for example, like running water, really easy if you could find like a kiddie pool somewhere or like a big tarp or something.
For sure.
Oh yeah, or if you could find because even wilderness survival, like if you were like 100,000 years ago at the dawn of man, right? Like let's say, actually, maybe not 100,000 years ago, but like let's say right after fire, if you had like a steel knife, you would be like a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about. I mean, it depends. Because
I mean, well, obviously,
isn't there like some stuff with
three
like
dudes?
Wasn't it? I think it's crazy that there were like variants of humans. Like there was a whole bunch of flavors, and then a couple of them were just good enough to like fucking kill the rest of them.
Oh yeah, it's really interesting to think about. Like it would be super duper like to live in the. It would definitely be like a weird caste system, but if there were like Neanderthals and like I don't know, like a couple other like intelligent Homo genus, like a couple other like intelligent Homo genus primates just all around. Because definitely Neanderthals would be like a lower class. They would be like labor citizens or something.
Maybe.
Well, I think to the extent that.
Because it depends. It depends because obviously like, I mean, neither of us got all the business on those people, and I think even the people who got the business don't really know that much.
Yeah.
I
was just gonna say my broad understanding is that they were like stronger than we are. When I say stronger, I mean like they like constructed to be more robust. Yeah.
More like chimps, where they just have like lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of bare muscle on like a thick skeletal frame.
And so I think because of that, they would just be like they would like move. Yeah, they would just do stuff. It would suck though in like a cooperative clade system, right? Like, well, yeah, in like cooperative clade being the term for coexisting with other intelligent different species, like coexisting with other intelligent species. I think the thing that would suck about that is if you weren't the smartest species. Like if there were if it turns out like another human variant or like homogeneous intelligent primate variant was smarter than we were, and so we were like the second tier up, like we weren't like we
I
weren't
definitely
dog
like
shit.
the idea that autism is just like a homo erectus or whatever, like homo erectus, because I guess we're
or
double.
like what's the thing where we're like homo sapiens sapiens or something?
Oh yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. That's
yeah. So they're like homo sapiens sapiens or something.
Yeah. Where they're just like basically like X-Men, where we're like, oh, that person's weird and socially strange, but they can do trigonometry like as a baby.
As a baby, do you think that? I don't know. I don't know. I think the only hole I would have to poke in that theory is like
the people who have like bullshit fascination, like the ones
I was gonna say that, and also like
shit. Because spectrum disorders are kind of weird, where you're like, oh no, this is all the same thing. Like this one dude can do like this one dude basically like came up with like theories of relativity, gravity, electricity, etc. And this dude just like licks bugs. That's the same thing, really. Like this dude's like a high level coder, and this dude scratches his balls a lot, like all day until they bleed.
Yeah,
that's the same thing.
I was gonna say to like to a societally unacceptable degree.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I don't know. I don't know a lot about about autism spectrum disorders. That's definitely something I should read about. I should read like a whole book on it.
There's a super interesting effect, and I think my mom definitely experienced it, where like any medical student who reads about like a disorder immediately starts applying it to like the people they know, and like it's basically just like once you learn about behavioral and stuff, you start to like think about
like your life in terms of that thing.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, and you may be right in some aspects, but like
more likely than not all. Or not
yeah, like there's a reason like doctors aren't supposed to like provide care for their own family unless it's like, oh, I can suture, and this kid has like an open wound that needs suturing, but like they aren't supposed to like diagnose their family with anything, because they're either they usually fall into like one of two camps: either my kid's fine, they don't need anything, oh no, they have stage 5 cancer, or like my kid is probably has everything, and then they have like some over clinicalized like
I was gonna say they just have like existence. A splinter or something like that.
Yeah, or like they're just
bad
fine.
Splinter.
Like they just coughed because there's a bunch of pollen in the air.
Oh yeah, like they're like
or like they swallowed water wrong.
No, they were like, I forced my kid to clean the attic, and now they're coughing, and I think it's cancer. And like, yeah, it's not.
Yeah, sure.
It's cancer. Yeah.
Or like, especially though with like the stuff that's really fine with comprehensive neurological testing and stuff. And even that, like, I don't know how much faith I have in a lot of like, I mean, psychology has not been like science for that long. I mean, you have like some stuff like conditioning that I think is good, but like,
when you say good, you mean like scientifically sound?
Oh yes, like sound. But like, I guess that's the thing. That's the problem with like most like sort of the Overton window within science, like the paradigm shifts and stuff. Like there's stuff that's good enough but then it just eventually gets refined.
This is true.
So it might be like a good basic intuition, and then it gets refined and then like and studied deeper. But like, I don't know.
I don't know. I tend to. Well, I don't know how much I have. I was gonna say I don't know how much faith I have in modern psychological practices. Just that, not to say that I don't.
In the treatment of them, very little.
I don't know that I could say
just because like there's a profit motive, and that makes it a lot more difficult.
Isn't there always a profit motive?
Nah.
Well,
Like,
not even in modern capitalist America.
well, no, especially here, obviously, but like not always a profit motive in the
Yeah,
terms
but
of like,
oh no, but
yeah,
I'm
like if
saying
it's,
like within the context of the world we live in, like because like we live
well,
in
the
the
world we
states.
live in, yeah. That's
Yeah,
not,
I'm saying that like
that's
we
not the
live in the
world.
states.
That's the
Oh no, but
place.
like the world we live in is the United. Like because really, I could narrow the world we live in to like Pennsylvania. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just saying like isn't there always some form of monetary motivation just to the extent that like we exchange money for goods and services?
Yeah, I don't know, but like the rush to sell a cure is really big, always. So like, I don't know. It gets weird.
This
Especially if
is
it
true.
doesn't
But
work.
I was gonna
Like if
say
you're talking about like OxyContin for like pain management, that's obviously an oversight and like it
this is true.
works a little bit for pain management, but then there's also like
But
obvious
yeah, no, it mostly works for becoming strung out. What Oxycontin, I
yeah,
guess.
for
Yeah.
for just not feeling pain, not
Yeah.
like not like pain management in the sense like, oh no, we're just gonna get it to the spot where you aren't feeling pain
Mhm.
just like naturally.
Yeah, like we're making
So
it like easier for to solve like
yeah,
if it's like a
I'm
problem that
not
can be
gonna say
solved, we're
like
making it easier to solve the problem over time. But yeah. It's
I'm
just
not gonna say that like most things can be treated with like naturalistic cures or like weird fippy dippy holistic medicine or like preventative treatment, but like especially when you look at like lack of sleep or something that's
oh yeah, I would say
big.
the vast majority. I'll say the vast majority of human diseases could be treated with preventative care. Like if
The
you
whole
could
like
stop,
notion of trauma is a little bit weird because obviously like I think it's like I don't like the dilution terms like PTSD because again if you make it a spectrum disorder it's a little bit weird. I mean, I get it, but like I don't know because a lot of it's just saying like you were exposed to like an extreme stimulus, like an altered state of consciousness. Like, oh no, you saw somebody's limb detach like Saving Private Ryan, and
yeah,
now you're like,
you
now
have
you can't
problems
hug your
interacting
dog
with.
or whatever.
Yeah. I think that. Well,
You got to eat
yeah,
with like your bare hands because you can't hold a spoon.
something. Do you?
Hands are just shaking. I don't know. It's weird, but like,
Because I. Oh yeah, but I was just gonna say that. Do you? Well, yeah. I like. Hold on. Let me think about exactly. Okay. Like, because yeah, earlier I said that I didn't know how much faith I had, just to the extent that like I'm not super duper familiar with the science. Like, I don't know the history of the science of psychology, I suppose, but
mhm.
to the extent that, and I'm not like when like I'm not. I didn't mean to like dismiss your claim like out of hand. Like to the extent that like we do exchange good like money for goods and services. Money is valuable, right? Therefore, if you can get money despite like the
Oh, I'll say this.
actual
I'll say
workingness
this,
of
right?
your goods and or services.
So I think
Mhm.
education of like the amount of people, like literacy and education, are still pretty recent. Like it in
Oh,
insofar as
generally, yeah.
being like a universal prescription for
Oh, yeah.
people. And so the ability of people to implement and like research, like implement and devote themselves to research is pretty new. Or not that new, but like I don't
No,
know,
it's well,
like
I guess
historically, like
I
the
would say
amount
it's
of
pretty
people.
new just because all of.
If, if we're talking about like a collective consciousness, the amount of people that can like sort of start stringing things together, that ability is greater now than it's ever been.
Well, I think I
Yeah.
will. I would say I agree with that, but the
Ability
term,
is
yeah,
greater than it's ever been. I don't know about. I mean, I would imagine that there are biomedical researchers than there like now than there have ever been at any point in history. Like the idea of a global CDC is brand fucking new.
mhm.
Like when did that come about? Probably right after World War II, maybe World
I
War
would
One,
I don't know. I would say
where like the
I would
world
yeah.
comes together, fights wars, and then goes, "Oh shit, we created a ton of diseases."
Mhm.
I'll Google it real quick. 73 years. So yeah, right after World War II.
Oh hell yeah, that's super new.
Oh, and it's in Atlanta.
Interesting.
That's cool. They didn't want to do it in Tuskegee.
Tuskegee. Oh man.
Oh, I love their
Oh man. Anyway.
all their Google reviews are just like edgy 4chan people. The food tasted like AIDS. Great work on developing vaccinations and ways to prevent infection of diseases. After that, a nice gentleman came into the stated he was the doctor. It's fun stuff. Fun stuff.
Oh, but what was your overall point related to how like these are new ideas?
Oh, vaccines and autism. That's great. That's very fun. Oh, and it's from a local guide. Oh no. What's up? Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, what was your overarching idea related to? You said that the idea of like, what am I trying to say? The idea
in that most of the I'll string it together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in that most of our it's been mostly like a top down biomedical technology process until now. And obviously there are some exceptions when stuff really works, like penicillin, but like even penicillin comes from like public universities and was bought by like the U.S. government
top down
part of the war effort and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Can you explain?
Can I explain what?
Top down? Can you explain
top down meaning like the kids of like wealthy people who are enrolled in private institutions because public schools don't exist devote themselves to like research, chemistry, all that stuff, discovering the properties of materials, interactions with stuff. I don't know. It gets a little bit weird because like vaccines come from inoculation. And I don't know about like that one's interesting because the principle behind it, like for a while, it was just like the way that diseases would work or like vaccinations would work is like had something to do with like scabs on cows or something.
Oh, Christ.
But like they just blow it up people's noses.
Oh, I was gonna say I used to know this pretty well. I think it was the smallpox vaccine. I forget what the cow-related disease was, but scientists observed that, or it was a scientist doctor, interchangeable term at this point. Well, not like at this point in the modern day, sort of, kind of. It's also interchangeable for the purposes of the story. But he noticed that the people with disease related to cows did not get smallpox, and so reverse engineered smallpox vaccine based on goober from aforementioned cow disease.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
yeah, I thought there was some sort of like folk medicine surrounding it that got like, because that is how some of it comes about, like where stuff has worked and people have survived diseases and stuff. And then that gets researched and then implemented. Like aspirin comes from a willow tree, and like the bark of the willow tree, and so like for a while people were probably just eating it because they're like, it helps you with your head shakes and stuff, like migraines or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then that got researched and turned out to have some benefit, although I think there's a general movement away from non-steroidal anti-inflammatories now. Not a movement, but like there's a bit of a question on if that's best practice currently, but probably helps some people for sure. But yeah, just weeding out whether something's psychosomatic or whether like there's like a real biological like need for integration of like, I don't know. I feel like people should do more work with placebos.
Is it? Oh well, I don't know how much work they do with placebos.
I mean, yeah, obviously it's used a lot in like testing of stuff.
Oh yeah, but like
I would love it if doctors could like,
because they do like double blinds for like drugs and whatnot, right? Like,
oh no, like, it would be great though for like for patients to like just to be like for certain I don't know, for like certain yeah, I guess it makes sense for like double blind stuff, but
oh yeah, because like that's how they like when they're coming out with like a new thing, they're like, let's make sure this works.
But like for psychological disorders, here's my thing, right? Like if you're like, man, like, I don't know, like Thorazine or some shit. Like, I don't know that much about any of the things I'm talking about. But that said, I definitely like the idea that if something is just a little bit better than a placebo, and you give the placebo to people, and it's still better than nothing, but like it doesn't have any downsides or like ill effects,
Yeah.
because like, oh yeah, like if the placebo for OxyContin relieved pain nearly as well as like
80% as well,
OxyContin,
let's say. Yeah.
yeah,
Then you
80%
would-
as well, but like it was
then you would just
non-addictive
give
because it
people
was
on.
literally nothing. I love
Yeah,
the
it's just
idea of a
sugar,
doctor
like,
just
yeah.
giving it to people. But then
And just be
obviously
like,
that might have some backlash as far as trust in medical establishments, especially if you
This is true.
charge like pharmacy prices.
This is true. I think that I don't know. I feel like relating this to the topic of psychological disorder. I feel like, and I'm not super duper familiar with the rate of prescription of psychological medications, but I feel like psychological medications are probably like I think they're prescribed at too high a rate. Like
Oh, for sure,
in a
because you
major
can get like, there's the trope. I mean, especially like the practice of doctor shopping isn't really that tightly controlled for things other than opiates.
This is true.
I mean, there might be some other stuff, but
and like I guess maybe like things like like I don't know, like an Adderall.
I don't even know about Adderall, because I think that
Like,
you can
some
pretty
places
much talk
probably.
any doctor into like being like, dog, I have trouble, like I
I
get
can't
nervous on
focus.
airplanes or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, like, I have difficulty focusing in class, but like maybe you have difficulty focusing in class because the room is hot, people are hot, and and you don't got your head right.
Exactly.
Because
Like
maybe
you should
there's
go
like
sleep.
an
Like maybe,
institutional problem with the way our schools are set up
like
or
maybe
something.
you haven't slept actually in years, and that's the reason you can't focus. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
but I think that outside of like cases in which people like are radically like disintegrated with society, like if people are like violent or like violent or like suicidal or something like that, like maybe give someone a chemical to bring them closer to a state that you can deal with, I suppose. Like obviously if people need to be like sedated, you should sedate them just to prevent them from harming themselves / others, right? But like if you can make someone, not necessarily, because like the word I'm looking for isn't the word I'm thinking of is pliable, but that's not the word I want to use because that implies manipulation.
But yeah, it is manipulation.
More
It is
receptive, because I feel like the vast majority of psychological issues are not necessarily like, obviously some of them are like physical, as in like they're like neurological, and some of them are just like problems with your thought processes, right? So I think that maybe chemical solutions,
medicine stuff, I think,
mhm.
as far as like addiction medicine, I think a lot of people could. I mean, it depends, because obviously there's like a self-reinforcing effect with some of it, or like, especially like people who are predisposed to like really high levels of drug abuse might have like a CTE or something that impairs like rational decision making. They might just have some like prenatal developmental issue on that front.
Like it could be like a physical thing, and I think
it could be a physical thing, and then it can also become a physical thing like with usage.
Oh yeah, this is true.
But I definitely don't like the idea, because like it's we're not so far out of like, what do you call it, where they put like rods in people's heads.
Lobotomies.
Yeah, we're not that far away from lobotomies, and I think a lot of our practices are definitely on some level just like biochemical lobotomies.
Oh yeah, it's just like
this
we
person
need people who don't make
now.
noise. Yeah, exactly. Like we shouldn't. I think the goal shouldn't be making someone like docile chemically. It should just be making them. You should medicate people minimally, and when you do, it should be more. I think personally, and like I'm not a psychologist or anything, or like a neurologist, but I think it should be to make them more susceptible to things like cognitive behaviors, like cognitive behavioral therapy, just to the extent that if the biological structures underlying your mind and thoughts aren't the problem, then it seems like you've got like you don't have like a physical problem, you have an idea problem, and you can work out ideas. Like anyone can work out ideas with help.
Yeah, if your machine's just running bad code and you just need somebody to introduce some other code,
help you rewrite those.
Break up some of the other like feedback loops that are going on, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I
And
think coding is a big issue, and then also the fact that as like social machines, our code interacts with other people's code,
oh yeah,
and that's reinforced in some capacity. Well, not in some capacity, in a rather
yeah.
large capacity by
In a major way, as you would
by
say.
like dopamine, oxytocin, all that stuff.
Mhm.
Like all the bonding chemicals and stuff can end up
Oh,
having really weird social implications.
oh yeah, I think it was a Jordan Peterson lecture, but he was talking about like someone who was recovering, like some kind of recovering drug addict, and the idea is that like, or no, it was recovering alcoholics, right? And like one of the reasons apparently that it's specific for like people he'd interacted with to recover from alcoholism, right, is that you have to you have to flip your entire social group, right? Because if like all your
Oh
friends
yeah, I
are
was
like
listening to a
alcoholic pieces of
lecture of
shit,
that.
and all you do with those people is drink yourself to death, if you're trying to stop drinking yourself to death, like sort of kind of step one is don't hang out with those dudes anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
unless
think
like
that,
unless it's quitting time like for the group, like
and
even
a
then it might
hard quitting
have.
time, like a suicide
But
pact quitting time.
yeah, but actually, like
That
I
would be
was
nice,
listening
actually.
to I was listening to
Mm-hmm.
like a lecture that was similar, but it was about like methamphetamine,
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually super interesting. I might just send it to you, but like I say lecture, but it's a soft lecture. It's a TED talk.
Oh, okay. I mean,
But oh
yeah, that's
yeah,
more of a speech than a lecture, but I get what you're saying.
yeah, but like it's a legit dude as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I don't know. Let's see.
If
Let's
he,
check it out. I'll research the dude real quick.
I was gonna give TED Talks like a subheading, like a subtitle that made it only sound like vaguely pornographic. I was just gonna like soft lectures by hard individuals, and that's a poor statement.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah, and that's my whole bit. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is this guy? Let's see.
Oh,
No. This guy is not.
it's not this dude.
Oh no. It is
Oh
this
no.
dude, but I'm googling his name, and this guy's an obstetrician / gynecologist in a different spot. So, yeah.
I'll definitely watch it.
Let's see.
Okay.
Nope. That's interesting. It's very interesting. No. I can't find anything on this dude anywhere.
This dude specifically?
Yeah.
Nicholas Taylor, damn.
Yeah.
Are all the Nicholas Taylors other Nicholas Taylors?
It's just this one other gynecologist.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's very interesting. Now, it would be ideal if this dude had
Meth, the devil's drug.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, because it's weird, because aside from the teeth stuff, and then obviously like any regulatory issues with quality, it is essentially the same drug as like an Adderall or a Ritalin or something like that. And a lot of the U.S. is run on stimulants, so I don't know.
Oh, this is definitely true. Oh, how hard am I allowed to tangent during the podcast?
Oh, that's all it is. That's all it is.
I was thinking earlier today about how oh, not earlier today. It was the other day actually, and it was about muscle energy. Like I was booking it somewhere. Like I wasn't like running, but I was doing a real aggressive predatory walk, and I was like, I had the thought, and I was like, everything that you do kind of runs on caloric energy. Like ATP is the real currency we're all vying for.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking about like how I should really think about like how much how expensive was it to get to this place, if it were like I should include the amount of money I need to like feed myself the calories I need to power my muscles to move my body there, or
that's
mm-hmm.
a concept that is there's this concept in like economics about internalizing external costs. So if you're talking about like pollution, it's not a perfect market if pollution, like say like pollution from some chemical company is polluting like public waterways or something. But I don't know, it gets really weird because like if nobody's buying it, then it gets weird because like if nobody's buying it and nobody's demanding that somebody do something about it, the market like God.
John.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Oh, okay.
Just heard very loud knocking. So we Gucci. Oh, also side note, Haribo kind of is on their fuck shit because their gummy bears, their strawberry ones are green.
Whoa.
And that's fucked up.
That's
I think what some might call a sin, and I'm not about it.
I was gonna say, I think like how like you need
their
such
raspberries are red, but they don't have a different red color for strawberry than they do for
raspberries, like nature does.
Yeah. I think the other problem is it's like a germ, and so I don't think they want to make it sweet, enjoyable, edible, and soft.
Oh yeah,
dude, like there's a little bit of suffering to be had in the eating process.
Oh yeah. And they're like, hey, in addition to the mic, like
they just want candy.
Like
they can't snitch on like where ethnic minorities are. They have a good excuse if like an authoritarian ever takes over. Like I was just eating the Haribo. No, I have the information. I just have an ability to spit it out because I'm chewing the German candy.
Oh man, I think that's a really great bit. I like it a lot. Mostly just because I think you're like, oh man, Christ, I don't even know what's the word. It's not inconspicuous. Like, what's a word that's like inconspicuous but means that you mean no harm to anyone? Your inconsequential German person voice is really funny to me.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing I was going to say is it's fucked up of them that you need because like to distinguish a green strawberry, like
what's green about a strawberry? The leaf, I guess.
Yeah, no, and that requires such a high resolution amount of multi-sensory perception to discover. Like,
yeah, you have to have actually seen and eaten strawberries to like understand what their strawberry flavoring is about.
Yeah, no, and you have to like be familiar with human food to know that things can taste like strawberries without looking like strawberries, and then on top of that, it's not even red. That's a lot. Oh, and then the last thing I was going to say is, I think the conclusion of that muscle energy thought was like the idea that you could stretch your dollar farther by making your body as efficiently as function efficiently as possible. I guess, or as efficiently.
I definitely like that. Because obviously calories doesn't matter quite as much. This is fun. Oh, okay. I keep getting timely warning messages from university, which is very fun. Which just means like whenever a crime happens, they or like even an alleged crime happens, they'll like email and text you about it, which is so annoying. Because it's all alleged until somebody's convicted, but like there's no.
How many crimes do you get notified per unit time?
At least like 5 a week.
Whoa, okay, that's actually a pretty high number of crimes or alleged crimes.
Yeah. It's just a lot of like, I don't know.
It sounds like a lot of notifications, to be super honest.
Yeah, I just kind of ignore them for the most part.
Yeah, I ignore way too many of my notifications. Like, I didn't check my phone like all day, or not all day, but for at least like 8 hours, and I always have like 25 notifications, and I just clear them all. And then resume using my phone like nothing happened.
Oh, I check my email every once in a while, and I'm message. I'm pretty good about like blacklisting numbers though, just because I'm like, I really will never answer this email or use it. A lot of like promotional email stuff, no, never. Who uses email? It's 2019.
I definitely need to. I need to go through like my emails. I need to get all the junk out of all my email accounts because I'm a bad email receiver. Like if I'm looking for an email, I'll read it, and if I need to talk to somebody like via email, like if that's the most efficient way to correspond, then I'll correspond that way. But if like for example, like eBay, I actually really like eBay emails because sometimes I'm bidding on stuff. You know how it is. But
I don't know. I don't actually use eBay that much. Oh,
I'm a
that's
big
a fun.
eBay dude, mostly because I think I got locked out of my mom's Amazon Prime account.
Mm,
and like eBay, the app was already on my phone, and I don't remember my eBay password, but also I don't know her new Amazon Prime password, so I'm just using eBay for all my shopping.
that's fair. That's fair.
And I could solve that problem with like a phone call, but like what am I gonna? I gotta
I didn't know
conserve my muscle energy.
Oh yeah. Because obviously it matters like what kind of calories too.
This is true.
Because obviously like I actually I was glad that I took like a sport nutrition class in high school because it gave me more vocabulary to talk than like I didn't realize that there were like 3 food groups in regards to calories, like sugar, fat, carbohydrates. Like I knew it, but like I didn't really know it.
Oh yeah, because I guess
I
the
didn't know
blanket
like the
term is like
kilocalorie.
healthier. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know like the kilocalorie stuff. Which stuff was like marketing or branding. Fun fact: organic doesn't mean healthy.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I guess. Well, what is the exact like? What makes a thing organic? Like, could you enlighten us on the podcast?
Organic is like a marketing term, right? But that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean anything because it's a marketing term that you have to meet certain qualifications for. And I think made with organic ingredients, made with like 70% or more organic ingredients.
But like, as far as the difference between like organic and non-organic, like produce.
The big difference is just application of like nutrient salts, and pesticides. So it just means like all the management is done with other plants, bugs, or like physical cover.
Oh, okay.
But like there's a very specific guideline because there's a certification organization, OMRI, which is Organic Materials Review. Check it out real quick. Oh no, that's Organic Material Resources something Institute. Organic Materials Review Institute.
Oh yeah.
First time.
Oh yeah, I was.
But like, there's some interesting stuff in relation to it because obviously like big agribusiness firms will sort of barter to say like, can we market it as organic if we don't grow it in the ground? Can we like hydroponics wasn't organic for a while because the whole basis of it is trying to get like long-term yields out of soil without damaging the greater environment. Not like having a bunch of nutrient runoff that causes like ocean plants to get super beefy. Because a lot of that's like algal bloom, like cyanobacteria, I want to say. I'll Google it real quick. Yeah, cyanobacteria, which is like blue-green algae. Smells really gross. I think it can make things toxic, kill a bunch of wildlife.
And that's why you don't want nutrient runoff into the ocean? Oh, okay. Weird. I didn't know that. But
so it's just like a lot of cover cropping like that.
Or I also Googled OMRI, and it's according to
Hebrew Prince or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say the 6th king of Israel. Oh man. I'm not gonna go into like Hebrew Bible rabbit hole because oh my gosh, I've gone on some deep Wikipedia Hebrew Bible rabbit holes.
I would really like to get more familiar with some of the mythology. Not really like the quasi-historical stuff, but like the mythology.
Oh no, exactly. Like I think that if anything, that's one of the more like what am I trying to say? Outside of like like the philosophy therein, just like the lore of Christianity, or really the lore of the Abrahamic religions in general, deep, like deep. And also very what am I trying to say? Very like thorough, interconnected, et cetera, and then I think that when compounding it with the fact that like a lot of Western society is kind of not based on, I was going to say not based on the principles set out in the Abrahamic religions, but like sort of kinda.
There's
Definitely
this,
makes.
I'm trying to find the specific but there's like an oral tradition term to refer to how people basically like how the audience interacts with storytellers to make it's folklore is what I think that's what I was looking into it the other day, and there's some interesting stuff around it. Verbal tradition bearer, and audience, I think. Maybe, but basically the audience hears a story told many times. So as an orator like deviates from the story, it's basically like the idea with comedy, right? That if you like to get the crowd to laugh, you're trying to get them to agree with you, but you might like if the idea that you're reworking a bit to get a better response is sort of the same concept as like you have to like tell a story in a way that they're familiar with. And so in that way, audiences control storytellers, and it's sort of a self-reinforcing traditions alive.
Yeah, there's a very powerful, or well, I think that probably like I think that the storyteller audience dialectic is probably one of the more powerful relationships in all of human history. Like on the whole, like probably.
Well, it must clearly be at least a strong cultural practice because it clearly has like the people who can do that can survive. So
yeah,
I would
mean,
imagine
actually,
that it is biologically reinforced in some capacity.
Oh, like over at least like like over time, and also like accounting for like human sexual selection, like probably like in a like not in a major way, but in a one
Mhm.
I'm definitely
Like enough to
definitely
be present, but maybe not enough to be deterministic.
like I think that I was gonna say that to like depending on your broad definition of the word story, right? But like since the like the dawn of complex speech, like encoded speech via words, I guess, or actually like I would imagine like at the moment of the dawn of encoded speech via words in human populations, probably like one could argue that storyteller and audience become like is the fundamental human relationship, because that's kind of like I would argue that's actually I would say that's kind of the main thing humans do, like tell stories, listen to stories, like
for sure.
because that's definitely
like that's why kids that's part of why kids like and that's why like I wish that like I think you could definitely make a lot more content interesting if you sort of frame it as a story.
Okay. Or at least
like I like how many people would remember Gravity if there wasn't like the apple dropping on the head bit.
Well, I think most of the
I
people.
think it also it is a bit
but
big force, but I don't know.
But like the abstract, like the discovery of the concept, I suppose,
Mm-hmm.
or like in 1409, like 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue, like that sort of thing. Like, God, something. There's a bit to be had about Indigenous Peoples Day. I don't know what the bit is, but audience know that I tried. I thought about being funny. I really did. Anyway. There's that's definitely like a type of story that's become like ingrained, and I think that even like the most interesting like videos about like science or something like that, they aren't like just like the lectures about concepts. They're like, this is this one concept, this is how I'm applying it to my particular situation. Like you see whatever concept you're interested in mapped to someone else's existing story, I suppose. And that's, yeah, I guess, yeah. I don't know if that was a complete sentence, but I said yeah 3 times at the end.
That's it's a pattern. So I'm really just trying to find a tradition bearer and audience. Oh my gosh, I really wish I could find the specific term because it's a
like a
phenomenon
word
that
for
has a
that
very
relationship.
specific term. Yeah, or yeah, the relationship by which like myths don't vary that widely based on region, or no, not based on region, but like they don't change that much over time, or because it's not like a story that somebody's writing, right?
Mhm.
For the first time, it's like,
Oh yeah,
or
it's just like
the idea of like folk.
it's like playing the game of telephone over generations.
Oh yeah, it's a Tolkien's conservative dynamic continuum.
Tolkien's. Can you put the?
Oh yeah, I'll literally just copy paste.
Please do.
That. Yeah, so I found it. It's so no two performances are identical, but the performer attempts to keep the performance within expectations. But this happens despite a multitude of changing variables. They've given the performance one time more or less. The audience is different. The social and political environment has changed. In the context of material culture, no two handcrafted items are identical. Sometimes these deviations in performance and production are intentional, just part of the process, but sometimes the deviations are intentional. The performer wants to play within the boundaries of expectation, creative touch, but they perform within the tension of conservative adding innovation. So basically, like, actually, a really good example of where he has like, little Miss Muffet sat on the tuffet, eating her cards and whey. Along came a spider and sat down beside her, and he said, "What's in the bowl, bitch?" Like, that's one of my favorite bits, and that's a really good example of the dynamic continuum. It works because people know like 95% of it, and then you're dealing with audience expectation. You're like subverting it.
And the subject matter of the story hasn't changed, but the way it's told has changed in a way that affects the story, I suppose.
Oh, and it's really cool. There's a little subsection after that that has in the electronic age, basically, but the internet basically adopts much of the same folk process. So
yeah, I was gonna say
like
that
the
seems
idea,
to be like the process of meme evolution. Like
yeah, because like a lot of memes are cultural touchstones now. Like every October, you have like all the like bone hurting juice meme skeleton.
And what was the one? Remember the butterfly meme with the dude and the butterfly? What was that one called? I don't
know what you're talking about.
He was like an anime man gesturing to a butterfly, and he's like,
yeah.
What was that? I feel like people didn't like that format a whole bunch just because it's kind of dead now, but I kind of like that format.
Yeah, and that's some interesting stuff. But like, there's still elements of how those jokes are made that you could really, if you looked hard enough, you could probably do like a study of it and establish a pattern. Like, especially if you got like a linguistics person or like an English teacher or something, you could probably establish a pretty bare bones framework for how meme formats all work. But it's definitely in some element result of like that continuum talking about.
Oh yeah. Definitely. Oh no, I just laid my sleep pillow in this dirty boot. Oh no! I don't want to talk about this on the podcast because it sucks, but I have a thing to tell you what's
So this is actually like part of it. Part of this idea is that like stories are as subject to processes as like we are, and so I mean, probably more subject because obviously, like, a story doesn't have any genetic material. Or not that it doesn't have any, but like
it's got
more
different.
subject.
It's got,
It's more subject, yeah, because you can change words way easier than you can change a gene.
Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I would maybe disagree just to the extent that, like, if you change enough words in a story, it's not the same story, right? And if you change like he ran there, right, is way different than he sat there, and that's only like a one word change.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
exactly.
And
But you
like,
can change. Yeah, you can change stories way easier. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, no. So I think I would say that, like, I don't know. I think that I would say that there may be like they're subject to like the same forces, but over a truncated time scale because they're easier to change than we are.
That's what I was saying. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I just said that. Like, so I was like, yeah, you can change words faster than you can change genes. Yes.
All right. But yeah, we agree on that, Bye, Al.
Yeah. So the time scale is truncated because I could say the same thing 15 different times. Probably not because I don't trust myself that much at 11:33 chewing on some gummy bears. But it does talk about how old folkloric traditions are transmitted into like modern media form, like Snow White and stuff. Like even if you've never seen Snow White at this point,
Oh yeah, you definitely guess what. Yeah. No.
or like if you haven't seen Shrek, you definitely know who Shrek is.
Oh yeah, if you're like an American, if you're like, I would say that if you're within like if you listen to this podcast, you definitely know. If you could hear this podcast, you know who Shrek is. Like if you found us, you know Shrek. I would say.
For sure.
And we're not even that related to Shrek, even a little bit.
Not really,
But
not at all.
like I was outside of this. It's the first. I think this is the first time we talked about Shrek. So only a little bit. But yeah, your point stands. Your point stands.
I dressed up for Shrek as Halloween.
Oh right, yeah. You told me. I
I dressed up
think you.
as Shrek for Halloween last year.
Wait.
Halloween.
Wait.
I barely say words right. But are you gonna? I guess that reminds me. Are you gonna do Halloween shindig this year?
I don't think. I don't know. I don't really go to any things.
Mm-hmm.
So probably not. I might just like dress up like as somebody. That would be fun. But
Yeah, that
like,
would be pretty dope. What
I
would your
don't know.
costume be?
Maybe a Bruce Lee's like maybe like a Game of Death Bruce Lee, because one I could buy a jumpsuit and that would be fun.
That would
And
be
then I
pretty
could
good.
and I think that like I'm in. Or actually, I don't know. Yeah, probably. Yeah, definitely Game of Death Bruce Lee. I was gonna say maybe Big Boss Bruce Lee, but that's just a dude wearing a shirt and pants and a green emerald necklace or something like that. Green emerald is redundant, and I think it's a jade necklace, so I'm double stupid. And the other Bruce Lee I was going to say is Enter the Dragon Bruce Lee, but Enter the Dragon Bruce Lee is just a dude. Like I'd probably just be like shirtless. I would just be wearing pants. That's the whole outfit.
Mm-hmm.
But that could be fun.
I don't think I'm gonna do a costume this year. I don't related to it, but we'll see. We'll see.
Because like I don't. For me, like the main reason I would want to dress, I would dress up as Bruce Lee as an excuse to own the Game of Death jumpsuit and then wear the Game of Death jumpsuit as an outfit at a high frequency.
Oh yeah, 3 strikes
Yeah.
all day.
Oh, it would just be it would just be me wearing. I'm saying I think for Halloween I'm saying that I'm trying to buy a yellow jumpsuit. I think that's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. I've actually never seen a Bruce Lee movie.
Wow, interesting. You should watch a Bruce Lee movie, John. They're good. Or well, I would. Yeah, actually, no, they're good. I was gonna say they're not. I was gonna say I was thinking about whether or not they hold up, but I've seen all of them. Not all of them, but like enough of them at close enough to now that I can say that they're still good. In my opinion, Bruce Lee definitely makes like close to the best action movies, or like to the best martial arts movies.
Speaking of which, speaking of Bruce Lee, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was banned in China, and I'm pretty sure it was because of the Bruce Lee scene.
Interesting. I didn't
Well,
love
because like otherwise it's like, well, I guess not really, because they don't really say commies, but like they don't like hippies. I don't think China likes hippies.
Yeah, no. I don't. Yeah, I can't imagine China would like hippies. So it's probably. Do you think this is the Bruce Lee scene?
I think it was the Bruce Lee scene because he is Chinese, right?
This is true. This is true.
Yeah. So
Bruce Lee wasn't. I'm trying. Like he's actually Chinese, and like he grew up in China. I just don't remember if he was born in like San Francisco.
Yeah, he was born in San Francisco.
Oh, heard.
But like, yeah.
Yeah.
But he.
Fun fact
like,
about Bruce Lee and
there?
I was gonna. Oh, save it.
Did he live in China at any point in his?
I believe so, because I know that he had formal dancing education which he got in China, and then he also trained in like Wing Chun, in Wing Chun when he was in China. Question mark. He spent some long chunk of his life there. The exact chunks, like I couldn't tell you when he like came back to the States as like a permanent resident or anything like that. But I'm confident that happened at some point because Bruce
apparently, yeah, I don't know. He left. Like he was born in the U.S. because he Ooh, okay, that's actually very interesting. So yeah, his mom moved to Hong Kong, so obviously that's a reason why China wouldn't want. But then like also, yeah. So, I'm trying to find out.
Wow, Google is so good. I typed in Bruce, but with 3 E's, and it autocorrected to Bruce Lee. I love living in the modern day.
Okay, yeah, he lived in Hong Kong. He lived in not China proper. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'd been there at some point.
Yeah.
Because it's not like that far away as far as I'm aware, but... Yeah, that would probably be why. They don't want anything associated with Hong Kong. But...
Yeah, you know what? Actually, that does make a lot of sense, actually. Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, but
also just the fact that they don't want, like... Oh, that's the big thing about China. They really do not... Like, Disney has to do a lot of... to sell, like, black actors in China.
Because China like the Black Panther posters.
Like yeah, you saw that, right?
Yeah, that's funny as hell, actually. Which, like...
And they're dealing with, like, 2 competitive markets. Because, like, in the U.S., that sells really well now. Because a lot of people are, like, spending spending money on, like, representation dollars rather than entertainment value. But yeah, no, that's big. That's big. Really and China's like, nah, we don't want that. We don't want that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the movie that breaks that barrier. Somehow you can hit all your American representation points, but also make a movie that people want to go see in China.
Just wait until the whole world is communist.
I think you should. If you can do that, you should win the Academy Award.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You should win a Nobel Prize.
Oh, you can win the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah. For like. Yeah, integrative, like unitary.
Like inclusive media or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, I was gonna say the fun fact about Bruce Lee and I is that we share a birthday. Or he's dead now, but yeah.
So you're gonna share the same death day?
If I die on July 20th at me, I definitely would. I would like that noted if I do die on the same day as Bruce Lee. Oh yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, that's what your eulogy is.
Oh yeah, just like I wanted at least mentioned at my funeral, like, hey, did you guys know Bruce Lee also died today? Isn't that neat? Rest in peace. And then
I was looking at like horoscopes earlier, and I definitely saw somebody else who was born on my birthday, but I think like
an interesting
Stevie
person?
Wonder or something.
Interesting. I'll look it up right now.
Robert Pattinson, Stevie Wonder, Stephen Colbert,
Whoa,
Dennis
dude!
Rodman.
Robert Pattinson's playing Batman. That's so interesting, actually.
He's playing Batman.
Yeah, Pattinson is the new Batman, if I'm not mistaken.
Ronnie Coleman. I knew that one. I just forgot it. A lot of people. Jim Jones.
Whoa.
That's fun.
Whoa! Wait. Oh, no,
Pusha
not
T.
that. Different Jim.
Yes, the
Francisco.
Jim Jones though. Yeah, so that's quite a few people.
Yeah, definitely. You got solid. Yeah, you got solid overlapping birthdays.
Former presidential candidate John Sick.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Debbie Ryan. Stephen Colbert.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Who else though? November 27th. Oh, you got Bill.
Wait, say that again.
You got Bill Nye.
I think Hendrix is in there.
Oh, you have Amanda Todd.
I have Amanda Todd.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Oh my gosh, a lot of TikTok people and YouTubers on your birthday. Jimi Hendrix.
Wow.
Jimi Hendrix is big.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's one dude with no eyebrows.
What's the name?
I'll send you it. So this dude. I have no idea who that is, but
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Oh my god, just the most YouTube people.
I was gonna say I'm glad to be related to Undertaker Freak 1127.
You might want to be careful. I'm not trying to get this flagged for like.
Definitely. Oh yeah.
Anybody better? There has to be. Yeah. Bruce Lee, Jimi Hendrix. That's good. What was 20 whatever years or like not like 9 months before November 27th?
9 months.
I guess
before
like February, right?
Yeah, I guess late February.
Mm-hmm. Trying to think. Yeah, because like 12 months in the year. Yeah, so like February, March.
Or well, I was premature too, so I don't know how premature, but so I was probably like instead of being like a late winter, I was probably like a mid-spring conceived child, probably.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I know any of these. Not really. But that's all right. I mean, like, oh, I think it is fun is that people can have. I think the chick from let's see, was she in? No, never mind. I thought the person from that Hannibal Lecter movie, whatever it's called.
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah, Buffalo Bill.
No.
Oh like what was the original thing you said related to Silence of the Lambs?
Oh, I thought that this person was this person. Was like the detective, but no.
Clarice. I forget what her name is. Clarice something. But yeah, she does look like that actress. Actress. I forget what her actual name is though. For a sec, I was just thinking Buffalo Bill because that other dude looks like Buffalo Bill.
Yeah. Let's see who plays her.
She was in. Oh no, never mind.
Jodie Foster. Yeah, that's Jodie Foster. So yeah, Brooke Langton. I feel like I'd seen her before.
Melrose Place, Terminal Velocity, Baywatch.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting. Friday Night Lights, Impact Earth. So bad.
It is crazy because this person was like a model, and I think that is insane. Because between her being born, like the idea that like we bomb a country or whatever, and then like less than 50 years later, we have like American models there or something. It's so fucking crazy. I mean, people get over wars kind of quick, but like not really.
Sort of, kinda. I mean,
Hmm.
I think it's kind of a miracle. Like I was gonna say, I think it's kind of a miracle that as a society we're over, or not. When I say a society, I mean like as a human species that we're over any of the shit we've done to each other. However, we also kind of aren't, to the extent that like in the same, like earlier we talked about how like you could track all political conflict through all the civilizations that have existed. I think to that extent we're not over anything. It's just
I think
that
we're kind of
the
over
people.
it now, to be honest, because like I don't know how many people pay attention to that stuff with phones. Because
This
I
is
feel
true.
like the prevailing sentiment at this point, and this is what we were, I guess, initially supposed to get into tonight, was like I feel like the general sentiment is like, why are we still fighting wars? Like, why are we still doing that?
Mhm. I like the global sentiment, or
Hmm.
interest.
Not the global sentiment, but like,
Oh, but like the predominant humans with internet access sentiment? Question mark.
oh yeah, because internet access major. You're just like, dog, we
Oh
can
yeah,
watch
yeah.
entertainment all the time. We
And
can
I
like
think
find
that
out
is,
anything we really need to. Like, what are we doing here?
and I think that's like the logical conclusion. It's just that I
And
think that
who really wants like some fascist dictatorships? But a lot of those dictatorships are like most dictators in the world, if not placed, supported by international powers, like intelligence agencies and stuff. And there isn't like a strong collaboration between like global whatever on like a unified strategy to how the world should.
wait, say the like just say like the last two words of that.
Oh, there's like a UN council. So
Oh yeah.
but that's about it really. And like the UN's kind of like, I'm not gonna say it's like limp dick, but like it's not like UN
It's not
peacekeepers are kind of a
non-limbic.
joke. Like in the what I heard about Syria, right? So like, or like the problem with Syria is that we just pulled out troops, and so what happened when we did that is like the Kurdish rebels that were fighting like ISIS and stuff in Syria, they like live in there is no Kurdistan, but like the Kurds are like an ethnic group or whatever that are like between Syria and Turkey.
Mhm.
And so the Turks are like arming the Turks, and the Turks are killing like ISIS, but we're also arming ISIS and Al Nusra and like all these other groups. And they're fighting Assad, but we're also backing Assad. So it doesn't make any fucking sense. And it's like a lot of dissociation between like the CIA and the FBI and the Department of Home, and then just the broader like Department of Defense. They're not they don't really have like their dogs in order, I suppose. And so like, and then there's just like the profit motive of weapons company that are like, oh no, dog, we're just supporting our allies and interests. But it's like, what's US interest? Like just selling weapons like Tony Stark. What are you fucking doing?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't support anybody's interest. It's not like they planned it out enough where like the guns all have bombs that we can detonate with the push of a button. So it's not like we can just like kill anybody who touches our weapons who we don't want using them or something.
This is true.
And then like, where's
You
the metal for the probably coming from like China? It's probably coming from like, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
It's like a global clusterfuck.
It really is. Yeah. I
The big stuff that annoys me though is like
yeah.
in regards to like rebel groups and stuff. Like something in Merritt's class how Assad gassed his own people, and it's pretty proven at this point that that's just not the case, because like Assad was like the Assad government in Syria was like held up to international scrutiny, and like basically to prevent him from being deposed, he had to like let in every like independent research and like investigation team in the world to come into Syria and like look for chemical weapons, and they didn't like anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then but like white phosphorus is, which is like one of the big chemical weapons that gets used, is pretty much only manufactured and sold by the US. And so like I don't know, it's super crazy because like when people see like, oh, I'll send you the fun image that up today. But is this the right one? It's just kind of gross. They kind of all look like Strange Man. Oh no, I actually already saved it today. That's cool. Oh yeah, white phosphorus is just a fun time.
Oh yeah. White phosphorus is a super dangerous chemical.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Fun
Looks like
facts
White
about
Walkers.
Wait, say, oh yeah, no, they don't look. It looks like they have ichthyosis in a major way. They've become strange.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no, my phosphorus.
That kid looks
Like
like he can tell your fortune.
the phosphorus is giving me sight. It took away. The fire was because so man, just like it took away my natural sight, but it's giving me. Oh man. Oh
Mhm.
man. Oh man. There's
But
actually
his pants are still intact. That's a. They don't even have bleach stains.
That's a situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send. I watched a deep video a hot second ago about white. It was half neat, mostly funny though. Oh well, not half neat and then mostly funny. It was like, let's say, it was like 45. It was like 45% neat, 55% funny. It
Mm-hmm.
was about white phosphorus.
Yeah. Oh, but like that's the big thing, right? Because like obviously, like energy is one of the biggest global like financial interests, because like if you're gonna sell anything, you need something to power all of your equipment. And so obviously like wars for oil are kind of a meme at this point, but like it's just true because the point of keeping like the price of oil stable is just it relates more to like the stability of the whole. But when countries are trying to develop like power, I think internationally you're only either allowed to get, like, I think you're not allowed to get like a nuclear weapon. Obviously that depends, because the only countries we're really looking at, like North Korea or something, like countries that we were kind of already looking at because we're at like still like residual proxies of like the Cold War. But yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah, I. Oh, it's finished.
but like you're allowed, like by international law, still allowed to like create nuclear power for your power grid, and that's super efficient. Like nuclear power is fucking the bomb.
Oh no,
like
nuclear power is dope.
like it's very very low emissions. It's very toxicity, and even the cancer that like nuclear like radiation emits, I think it's not even, I forget what it's called. What's the thing? Oh yeah, it's like thyroid cancer is like the biggest cancer that it causes. That's very treatable as far as like, as far as cancers go, at least. Like it's not like a leukemia or something, or like a brain cancer.
It's as far as the terrible diseases that you get from ionizing radiation, it's relatively treatable. So, yeah, I mean, how connected do you think are? Well, I mean, obviously, it's super. Like, if you have the technology to create a nuclear reactor, you have the technology to create a nuclear bomb. Because everywhere.
No, not necessarily. Because the level of refinement of the basically like the level of refinement of the nuclear or whatever, like the
the radioactive war,
like the isotopes and stuff. The level of refinement required for power is far lower than the requirement for like bombs to be effective.
When you say far, I mean it's.
There's enough of a standard that it's like watched by like international groups, and so like there's a difference between a discernible difference between refinement for a power grid and refinement for a weapon.
Then
I don't necessarily mean bombs that.
This is true.
Yeah.
So let's say if you can. All right, let's say the same statement, right? Like if you've sufficient intellectual power to construct a nuclear power facility, then you have sufficient intellectual power to construct a nuclear bomb. There we go. Obviously you have the physical resources, I suppose. Well, outside of aforementioned refined materials. But you also have the intellectual resources. How? I don't know. I mean, you said those things are pretty good, I guess. I think my question was going to be related to the exact interconnectedness between the development of nuclear power and nuclear weapons, because we nuclear weaponed.
Okay.
First,
yeah. So I guess the idea
nuclear powered. But yeah.
The big concern is just like suitcase nukes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just having technology available, I guess relatively unrefined nuclear material into like a relatively crude bomb, but that the radiation would cause more of a problem. Because I don't think that like a suitcase nuke is really going to be that big of a problem from like
Hold on, John. Give me 1 sec.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, I heard someone. Yeah, who the fuck is that? I don't know. Someone's being very loud in their home and/or the hallway. Anyway, continue with what you were saying.
Oh yeah, just the idea that like radiation cleanup, like as far as I'm aware, and I could be kind of off, but yeah, I don't know. I'm reading a thing about it right now. So
that because it's not like the blast radius, it's the fact that you're gonna have like a bunch of like radioactive aerosol with like a given half-life. Yeah, you'll make like a certain area like either uninhabitable or like not guaranteed, but like guaranteed cancer for a little while, likely cancer for a while longer, et cetera, et cetera.
But the big stuff is like it's fairly manageable too if you just keep people inside. One of the biggest crises with like most nuclear cleanups is that like when Fukushima happened in Japan, the like power plant meltdown is that they just moved people outside, like to get them to like hospitals and like what do you call it? What's the term?
For what?
For like isolation tank, but not that.
Oh, like quarantine?
Quarantine, yeah. Oh, I'm dumb. I should have remembered that.
No, you're clear.
If only there was a 4-letter word that could have helped me with that. But yeah.
If only you did a podcast
Oh,
someone whose name. That's pretty funny. That's a funny bit, actually. That's super funny. But
Pyrothene? Is that what it's called? Well, yeah, like the biggest argument is just that all of the fear over wars fought over nuclear weapons are all so low stakes compared to like you can't fear insurance peddle on the idea that nuclear energy will cause war if oil wars already cause, or like yeah, if oil energy
if they're
already
already oil, yeah.
yeah. I mean,
no, definitely. Like, I think that, I don't know, like, generally speaking, I think that, because I don't know how I feel about, I don't know, the anarchist in me dislikes overarching government of any kind, and the arguments over denuclearization are some of my least favorite arguments, just because, like, from a philosophical perspective, I feel like they're sort of unproductive and circularly defined, I guess, just to the extent that, like, dude, like, we have them. Why can't they have them? They're a place.
oh, and
you know
we're
I mean?
still like trading with like really monarchies. Like the fact that we deal with Saudi Arabia and their monarchy isn't like monarchy like in the traditional sense, although there are still some elements of that. But like the fact that we're still dealing with governments that even have like, artificial monarchies on top of them, super bizarre.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, it's strange. We live in a strange.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was gonna say, any chance you were to wrap it soon? I have to.
Yeah.
I have jujitsu in the morning.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Anything you want to say before we wrap?
Oh, shout out! Like, I want to plug There's a new clipping album. I think it's called "There Existed an Addiction to Blood." Let me open Spotify. I just want to look at it real quick.
All right. I'll probably listen to that.
It's called "There Existed." No, say that one more time.
I'll listen to it soon.
Oh, word, yeah. But that's what it's called. There Existed an Addiction to Blood. It came out like very recently, like 2 days ago. But yeah, it's like 15 songs. So I've only made it through part of it, and I've heard like the singles already and whatnot. But it's a pretty dope album.
That sounds dope. Next time, I'm gonna make a knife. I'm gonna bring it in. I'm gonna make an iPhone with it. I'm gonna listen to this album.
Oh Christ! Yo, that would be the hardest thing about being like, if they were like about like society resetting hypothetically and all like digital information being destroyed. Like, I would kill for vinyls. Like, I'd kill for them. Like, if you were like, this is the only copy. Oh no, like if like neutral milk hotels like in the aeroplane over the sea, or like ex-military or something like that, like these are the last copies. I'd stab somebody for those. Like, I'd really think about it.
Boy, but we could still have CDs.
Oh, this is true. Never mind. Let me take. I feel like I murdered people in an alternate reality for nothing.
Because record players are not manual. So like.
Oh, but like in a no electricity world.
Yeah, record players are not manual.
Well, I know that they're not manual, but I mean, like, not even necessarily in like a no electricity world, but in a world in which Here's what I'm trying to say. Oh, like all reliable means of producing electricity on like a societal scale have collapsed, I suppose. So like, if you can make electricity, you have electricity, but if not, you don't. And I think in that, and also, even if CDs weren't a thing, I wouldn't have to kill anybody for their vinyl. I could just ask them if I could copy their vinyl, because you can make it, you just need like a pressing of one side.
Yeah. If they have the electricity for a vinyl player, you probably have the electricity for a phone.
I was assuming they've got like some kind of manual situation, and I happened to run into them. Like, I bumped, and then I was like, "Oh, bro! Like, you know what I missed about the world before? Death Grips. Lost all my fucking Spotify shit." Yeah. Right? They're like, "Oh, I have a copy of all their albums on vinyl. I've been playing it with this hand cranked fucking horse shit." No. That's what I was imagining.
Like a phonograph or something.
Yes. Yeah, I'm imagining they were such hardcore Death Grips fans that they built a phonograph to listen to their vinyl.
They threw during No Love.
Yeah.
They threw it to the monitor of their still working Macintosh.
Yeah, like they saw like the grid go out and like the planes crash from the sky, like people thought Y2K was gonna be, and they just destroyed all their modern technology and brought out the photograph. Yeah. That's exactly what I was imagining. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been the POPP. Oh, my bad, John. I didn't mean to cut you off before you plugged it.
No, I did that earlier too. To you, but we're all good. We're all good. I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I definitely have all of Death Grips on MP3. So in this apocalyptic scenario,
Oh yeah,
we'll get it
if
on
we
your
can turn
phone.
your
It'll be
phone on,
fine.
or yeah.
We can get enough
Word.
electricity for my player. Get enough electricity for my phone.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, John's. That would be a great adventure story. Like you have the last music on the planet.
Oh my god, no! Because music legitimately, that's going to be a severe military. Is like the ability to like listen and play the music, like
Oh no,
march
exactly.
to a drum beat.
Oh yeah. Like I would like in an apocalyptic scenario in which like music was somehow not a thing anymore, and everyone would just like let's say society's long gone or something like that, or like most humans are gone, and so for a while no one's thinking about it, and let's say we somehow survive for like 5 years in this apocalyptic scenario, and we're kind of coming back to a place and we're like, fuck, really miss all the things, and you're like, oh right, I still have this, and you pull out like a cracked phone that you've been holding on to just because you know
there's just like a tooth implanted in the screen.
Oh yeah, exactly. From where you used it to bludgeon somebody.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
we just got to get 5 volts, and I'm like, I can make 5 volts. We just need a car battery, and we're going on an adventure. And they're like, what are you doing? We're like trying to listen to music, and they start chasing us, and that's our film. that's the part. It's a very nice movie.
It's called.
All right.
Our film is called Their Existence. Check it out on Spotify, Bandcamp, and BlueTube. We have 5 episodes up now. 3, but this has been it.
Hell yeah. Yeah,
Peace.
it's been real.
You